Well, folks, not a good night. Not a good night whatsoever. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the New Jersey Devils, once again, riding a 2-game winning streak, playing the Canes with a chance to make it 3 in a row. The last time we played them a couple weeks ago was the same thing. Devils with a 2-game winning streak looking to make it 3. Hosting the Carolina Hurricanes at the Rock. And in typical fashion, Daddy is still Daddy. The New Jersey Devils lose an embarrassing 4-1 game, and wow, so much to get into, so much to unpack. I foolishly believe there may have been a chance for them to win this game. Odds in their favor, just looking at, aside from the recent history, or I should say long history of the Canes owning us, the Devils were well rested. Carolina coming off a big win last night. They're on the second game of a back-to-back. They scored a lot of goals, and you're hoping, that they're just a little tired and maybe the Devils could catch them slipping a little bit. And early in the game, the Canes were not dominating. In fact, the Devils were taking it to them a little early. The Canes did not register a shot on goal until I think it was like 11 minutes or so into the first period. And you thought, this Canes team does not look like the Canes we're used to seeing. Maybe the Devils will get the jump on them, but in typical 25-26 New Jersey Devils fashion, inability to finish. Brodeur had a breakaway. Jack had a couple chances in tight. There's especially when Jack goes to the backhand now, there's, he's nursing the injury. So again, credit to him for playing through it, but there is nothing on his backhand, like nothing whatsoever. He would have to completely deke the goalie out and have a wide open net to finish on the backhand because there's nothing on the shot. And some other chances as well. But in the end, good teams settle down and find a way to win. And you saw that with the Canes tonight. They did survive a first period where they were pretty much outplayed. And then Devils couldn't score. They hung around and they found a way to win and kicked our teeth in like they typically do. We get to the scoring, nothing in the first period. We get to the second, and at 13-12, Svechnikov gives them the 1-0 lead. Pretty deflating, I'd imagine, for everyone in attendance and the players. We've talked about this before. In the face of adversity, win or lose, we booze, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm just so dejected. Loser beverages once again. I'm going back to the Nooners. Cheers to all of you for coming out. Win or lose, we booze. And tonight we are drinking loser beverages once again because we play Daddy, and they remain Daddy, and I hate this team so much. I hate the Canes. I hate them so much. Constant thorn in the Devil's side, and I'll get to all that after we get to the game stuff here. But 1-0, and the team kind of seemed like they lost their mojo. They don't seem to do well in the face of adversity. Once again, they give up the first goal, and there's been 40 some odd games, and I think they've given up the first goal 30 of them now, or 29. Whatever it is, painful. And typically do not respond to adversity well. They did not tonight. And Canes up 1-0. And then less than a minute later, another kind of trademark of the Devils in the past couple of years, giving up goals pretty quickly. Svechnikov strikes again, makes it 2-0. And at that point, I firmly was like, this game is completely over. I thought for the Devils to win the game coming into it, that they would probably have to score first to have a good chance. But 2-0 Canes, towards the end of the second, that's pretty much game. You can't believe even the most delusional or optimistic of fans, Devils fans anyway, would not think they would come back from 2-0. And at that point, I knew, it was just a matter of what the final score would be. Period ends. Second period ends 2-0. We go to the third, and once again, another trademark New Jersey Devils kind of element there. The obligatory tease, right? Timo Blast went on the power play. I thought Timo was our best player tonight. Had a couple big hits. He was kind of flying around, but not nearly enough to will this team to a win. But Timo Blast one. on the power play, which breaks a goalless power play streak against them, which spanned like a crazy amount of games. But Timo gets his 13th from Glass, and Dougie cuts the lead to 2-1, and that was the typical Devils tease. You're like, oh, could this be? Can it happen? Do they have a comeback in them? Can we finally get over the hump? But no, it was a fun 4 minutes or so to dream and continually to be delusional and optimistic. But reality strikes. 4 minutes later, Jackson Blake on the delayed penalty call. I forget who got the penalty. Kind of weird sequence of events. The Devils were kind of standing around, and then Blake comes in and just pantses Markey, gives Carolina the 3-1 lead, and that was the bullet in the back of the head. And then Svechnikov completes the hat trick at 15:52, and that is how the game would end. 4-1. Canes just owning the Devils once again. Game stats, Canes 33 shots on goal, Devils 29, which is sad because at one point I think it was like, I don't know, it was like 15-5 or something in shots. But, you know, the Canes came alive after that first period, but Devils end up being outshot. Devils get the better of the faceoffs, 54.2% to 45.8% for the Canes. Devils power play, one of the many, you know, issues you could look at. They do go 1 for 4, so you can't absolutely kill them, but it would have been nice to have another one, but it doesn't matter. Daddy's daddy. Canes go 0 for 1 on their power play. Canes with 20 hits, Devils with 22 hits. Canes with 11 block shots, Devils with 14 block shots. Canes with 9 giveaways. The Devils with 19 giveaways. Completely nauseating. More than double the amount of giveaways. Way too much. Canes with 9 takeaways and the Devils with 2 takeaways. So you just look at that, right? Like, you know, giveaways and takeaways. Canes they gave it away 9, but they took it away 9 for a net even. The Devils only took it away twice and gave it away 19 times. That is a net minus 17. Absolutely disgusting stuff. I'm just disgusted on so many levels. But like I said, listen, I've come to the painful reality weeks ago that this team probably wasn't going to go anywhere. Is there anything worth looking at this? Cody Glass with 3 shots, a block, and a hit. Timomeier, the only goal, 6 shots, 2 hits, crushed Aho. That was beautiful. In that second period, I think it was absolutely crushed Aho. Grits with 2 shots and a hit. Dilly with a block and 5 hits. Dougie with the assist, 2 shots, a block, and 2 hits. Kovacevic, very physical throughout the game. If I had to give someone, you know, balls of the night, it would probably go to Kovacevic or Timo. But in the end, this team is just Charmin soft, my friends. Kovacevic ends with 3 blocks and 3 hits. Pesci with 4 blocks. Luke Hughes with 2 shots and 4 giveaways. Siegs with 2 blocks, 2 hits, 6 giveaways. My God. And Jacob Markstrom, guys, 29 saves on 33 shots. We're just stuck in the mud, guys. I am devastated, but I can't even be animated really about it anymore because I'm just so dejected and just down with everything, honestly. And it sucks to be that way, but that's the reality. And I'm going to get to something else in a minute that's been pissing me off. Deserve to win meter. I don't know how it was this close. I guess because the Devils have all these scoring chances here in the clusters, nice little cluster shots, but a lot of those were just lame, kind of nothing shots with nothing on them. But 50.6% for the Canes, 49.5% for the New Jersey Devils. And another game where this team just kind of withered and died, in my opinion. No backbone, no bite. You know, it was nice to see Kovacevic. He planted somebody. I forget who. It may have actually even been Svechnikov. I can't remember. He decked somebody and put him down. You know, Timomeier with that big hit on Aho. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, man, I really did think Goaltending was going to bury that breakaway. But, you know, why would good things happen for the Devils? It did not happen, but I thought there was a chance. But the season is, you know, let's be real, guys. But before I even get to that, we just look at what this Hurricanes team, this is courtesy of Madison Square Garden Networks, MSG Networks, rough times versus Hurricanes. This is a graphic they showed during the game. Since 22-23, the Devils are 6-15-2, regular season and playoffs. So they're counting the playoff series in here. 6-15-2. The Devils with a nauseating minus 27 goal differential, which is just insane. 9 straight games without a power play goal, going 0 for 24. And Carolina had converted on their power play in 7 of the last 10 games, 9 total power play goals. If this graphic does not clearly illustrate the domination that the Hurricanes have been enjoying over the Devils as of late, I don't know what does. And that's just in recent times. Obviously, we could get into the long-winded history, with the playoff series and all of that. But this is just kind of recent vintage. Complete domination. I got to step out 1 second. But just look at that graphic. It's absolutely absurd. 1 second. Ow. It's just completely gross, unacceptable. And, wow, 6, 15, and 2. So what would that be, points percentage? That's what? Come on. Got to get my calculator out here. So that's 14 points out of 46. Yeah, 304 points percentage hockey. Not nearly good enough. Not going to get it done. That is, worst team in the league type stuff. But there you have it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. That graphic shows it all. The Canes have owned us, and it continues. It absolutely continues. I am disgusted, but I am going to continue on just eating my I'm going to take these to the post game. The Swedish fish, guys. What a classic, right? This Devils team may suck, but at least I have Swedish fish. Absolutely delicious, But I'm disgusted. And then we look a little bit, bigger picture. After these games just went final, bang, there it is. Somehow the Senators blew the game, I believe. They're up by 2. What a mess Ottawa is, right? But I mean, we're no better, but where's the Ottawa score? Yeah, they were up 5-3 in the third. And then they gave up 2 goals in the final 5 minutes and then lost in OT. Man, that's brutal. But that's what happens with bad teams. Ottawa's a bad team as well, and bad teams find a way to lose games. But at least they're scoring goals. But yeah, that's where the New Jersey Devils are right now. Third to last in the entire conference with 50 points, playing abysmal 521 points percentage hockey. Only above the Senators and the New York Rangers. And above the Sens by 1 point and the Rangers by 2. They very well could be in last place very soon. I mean, and I know, and then the saddest part about all this is that Fitzy told us the other day that he doesn't look at the standings. So maybe someone on his team, one of the other front office executives, should be like, maybe you should take a look at this, Fitz. This is a little bit of a horror film we're dealing with here. Despite not looking at the standings, it doesn't make the reality of the situation go away. And we very well may be a lottery team. Despite starting the season per Vegas odds as like a top 4 or 5 cup favorite. Vegas odds, a top 4 or 5 cup favorite. And we may be a lottery team now. On top of the pain of that, it seems like Fitz's job is not in jeopardy whatsoever. And he's going to be here for a while. And I'm sorry to say, there is no hope while he's here. I mean, listen, guys. And again, I hate to be negative, but I have to live in the real world. And I have something else to say about this in a minute. But a man that has shown you he will not make the necessary adjustments in the middle of the season. A man that will hope and wish as an effective strategy and just hope things get better. in 23-24. Just hope the goaltending would fix itself. It did not. We missed the playoffs because of it. Unforgivable sin. In my opinion, should have been canned for that, but he survived. He gets two goalies, Jake Allen and Kakkonen, on deadline day, and it was way too late. Punted the 24-25 season away because Jack was injured. And here we have it now. A season that I believe could have been salvaged if people started, I guess it starts with looking at the standings, right? He told us he doesn't look at the standings. So that's maybe the first thing. But the signs were there that this team was in trouble late November. And I said it. And I tried to be very realistic about these things. And I remain positive or whatever much longer than other people. Some people, fly off the handle quick. I'm definitely not one of those people. But the Devils had late November had a 3-game losing streak. Then they won 3 in a row, and then they lost 3 in a row. And then after they lost the 3 in a row, I was like, it's time to be very concerned, because good teams do not do this. And then that second 3-game losing streak eventually became a 5-game. And basically I did that. What was it? Over the past 6 weeks or so before the Devils just won these last 2 games. It was a sample size of 20 games, and they played like 325 points percentage hockey or something. To play 325 points percentage hockey for 20 games, which is essentially a quarter of the season, you're going to be very much behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to make the playoffs. And so now the reality is it would take a series of miracles for this team to make the playoffs. I told you guys weeks ago that I had personally come to grips with the fact that they probably will not. But there is no light at the end of the tunnel. The general manager told you he does not look at the standings. He told you that he is in love with this core and not looking to make any changes. And so, how does this thing fix itself? And the answer is it simply does not. It does not. It will not just magically fix one day. And he said, oh, there's plenty of runway. It wasn't true then, and that was a few games ago. And so the runway becomes less and less. This team would have to play probably around 700 or so points percentage hockey to make the playoffs, and that's just not going to happen. It's just not realistic. With 34 games left in the season, it's pretty much over. And so for everyone hoping that this guy is going to wake up from his coma and make some sort of meaningful trades, he is certainly not going to make any meaningful trades in a lost season. He's already shown that. And last season wasn't even a lost season. It was just Jack was hurt. So they're like, bring in the punt team. We're giving up. We'll try again next year. And that's exactly what's going to happen again this year. There's not going to be any meaningful trades. There might not be any trades at all. And at this point, they're making a big mess along the way while sucking and missing the playoffs. The whole Dougie situation was botched. Tried to trade him a couple times. He vetoed it. Then they scratch him. He gets pissed about that. Then he comes back, has a great game. Now Nemo's getting scratched. He's certainly going to be pissed off. And so it is just a complete mess. At this point, like the Dougie thing, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Now I'm going Sour Patch. We're going with the Sour Patches now. I think there's a good chance Dougie finishes the season here. I think there's a good chance he finishes the season here. And thank you for the super chats. I'm going to get to those in a second. I'm just trying to finish off the kind of mental notes I had made here. Nemo may want out. That's a messy situation. Dougie may be here till the end of the season. And this team will continue to struggle and just kind of fizzle out. And it's what we've seen time and time again. More of the same. It is nauseating. It is a painful time to be a fan of this team because these were supposed to be the bright years, guys. Obviously the future is so bright. I have to wear these to keep my retinas intact and not, I don't want them burned out of my skull from how bright this future is. But after a decade-long rebuild, these were supposed to be the contending years, and we are anything but. We are much closer to a lottery team. Literally, we are closer to a lottery team today than a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. Let that soak in. After a decade of sucking where all we had to look forward to was the bright future that we were told about and promised, with the young pieces in place and all of this cap space and the draft capital and all of these things, for years and years, we were told about this bright future. And guess what, guys? We are in those years right now, and we are legitimately looking like a lottery team. it is extremely painful times to be a Devils fan. I am completely heartbroken. And kind of the last thing I wanted to say before I get into these comments here is that I've been running into a lot of real dickheads. I wish they were on our team. You know, Fitz came up with the no dickheads policy. I think we need tons of them on our team. But a lot of people online are just really mouthy trolls behind their fake little names. And I've been just on a blocking spree. I don't care if you disagree with me and want to debate. That's all good and fine. We do that here regularly. That's part of being a fan and part of the fun. But like people making personal attacks from behind their burner accounts or, you know, their little account with 10 to 20 followers and all they do is just post nonsense. Like, I have to block them because I will start threatening them and seeking them out in real life. I am a 90s kid, and I would love nothing more than to punch some of these people in their mouths. But in 2026, that is very frowned upon, and, you know, people run to the police and stuff. And so I have to block these people so I don't get in trouble, because a lot of tough guys, a lot of Twitter finger keyboard warriors running their mouths, and I'd love nothing more than to fix that for them. But you can't do that in this day and age. And so I have to block these people. But some real scum on the X. But if you're not following me on the X while I'm battling these people, give your boy a follow. I am, despite the pain, there is some cool stuff that comes out of it, but it is mostly pain for me engaging with these heathens. I'm looking for the graphic. What a time, guys. But yeah, a lot of trolls. And the other thing I will say is, despite me not liking a lot of people, I would say, or disagreeing with people, to attack people as a completely irrelevant clown behind a name, attacking, and some of these people attack pretty much anyone who talks about the Devils on a high level or has like any sort of platform. Despite what I think about some of these other people or their opinions and all of that, I've told people, or told you guys many times, that I have nothing but respect for people that put themselves out there and create any sort of articles or videos or whatever it is, because it's not easy and you are opening yourself up for criticism. But there is a difference, a very big difference between criticism and just talking shit and running your mouth and flaming people. And so, like I said, if you're a person of any kind who makes Devils, you know, articles, videos, whatever it is, I'm kind of with you in this battle against these faceless trolls who like to run their mouths. And respect to anyone trying to do it, you know, regardless of your platform or the size of your audience. If you have the balls to put yourself out there, whether you're writing articles, on camera, whatever it is, it's a lot more than most people will do because they're cowards. And so credit to all of you. And don't let these clowns bother you, because I've seen some of these losers that have attacked me have attacked other people as well. And like, I'm sure it probably bothers some of these other people more than me. Like, I'm very confident in who I am and what I'm doing here. And so I don't let these losers bother me, outside of the fact that it makes my blood boil and I want to break their jaws, and would love to do so if you were allowed to in society, but you're not. So I have to back away. But that's the only thing that bothers me. I could care less about their irrelevant opinions while they hide behind some, faceless account because they're cowards. But anyway, getting off on a tangent here. Follow your boy on X, running with NJD, if you're not already. I am trying to get more active on there. And now we get to the comments. ES Highway, thank you for the super. Thank God my mom is not alive to see this. Wow. Sorry to hear about your mom. And I'm assuming she was a fan and that this would have nauseated her like all of us, and it's a painful time. I mean, I really can't give any encouraging words here, honestly, outside of October's is 9 months away. We look forward to next season. I mean, it just sucks. It just sucks. And now the front office is probably salivating over the high pick we're going to get, like they did in 23-24. That's crazy. The 5-star, thank you for the super. We have always been the Canes punching bag. Yes, we have. What's your guys' favorite Sour Patch color, by the way? I think they're all good. But yeah, the Canes own us. The Canes are daddy. They're still daddy. And that's it. Another game against Carolina. Another big L. ES Highway, thank you for the super. You are never making the playoffs when your goalie has an 8 handle on their save percentage. So, to this point, I will say that is correct. However, multiple things can be true at once. I want to be very clear on this because a lot of people, I feel like, have pent-up frustration of all kinds about this team, and rightfully so. This has been another tragic season, which was supposed to be during the bright years. The Stanley Cup contending years, and it's another season down the toilet. Cheers to all of you. I might have to get the tequila. But while goaltending is not good on many nights, and specifically from Marky, and you guys know I love Marky, that is not the main issue with this team. The main issue, or main issues, I would say, is their constant inability to finish and score goals, period. Period. We easily could have had a 2 or 3-0 lead before Carolina scored. Hell, even a 1-0 lead would have been nice. For whatever reason, these guys cannot finish. They cannot score. Despite getting tons of glorious chances every game, they just cannot score. And so, yes, you know, if you're going to blame Marky for tonight, like, oh, it's a shame he couldn't pitch a shutout for the Devils to win. Like, I agree that the goaltending, or at least some of his starts have been problematic, but they're not costing us games. You know, if the Devils lost 4-3 tonight, I would say, you know what? Marky lost us this game. That is not what happened. We lost this game because, number one, they cannot score. Number two, once they go down, they pout and cry and just fold up like a cheap tent. That's it. And they're sharp and soft and get swatted around. And so when you have a team that cannot score, cannot deal with adversity, and cannot physically respond when you need to, it's a recipe for disaster. Now you can get into the goaltending and all these other things, but in the end, I could never in a million years say that this team missed the playoffs this year, and when it inevitably happens, that they missed the playoffs because of bad goaltending. Despite whatever the goaltending numbers may be at that time, it's because the forward group is just not good enough, period. A forward group that Fitz is married to and refuses to change. And so it's just round and round we go. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And just like when everyone kind of jumped on Fitz when he said at the end of last season, you know, the group wasn't good enough, we're not going to bring back the same group, and then basically came back with mostly the same group, you know, plus Connor Brown, Dodonov, and obviously the find of the century in Switzerland, the best kept secret in the hockey world that no one knew about. They found Juho Lammikko, a guy that was going to change the fortune of the franchise. And he was a sleeper that no one knew about. So those were the new guys that were brought in, which by most accounts, everyone kind of was like, yeah, this is largely the same team with a couple additions. And Connor Brown has been a decent addition, but, you know, Dodonov has barely played. And they literally waived Lammikko. He cleared waivers, and then they played him. Despite calling up Lenny Haminaho, you know, I would have liked to see Lenny Haminaho make his debut tonight. I'm sure we'll see it at some point soon. But it's just so many head-scratching things. Nothing really makes sense. And unfortunately, I have nothing really to look forward to at this point because it's another season we're going to slowly bleed out. We'll probably end up winning enough games here and there where they truly don't get a great pick. And again, I hate tanking. I'm very against tanking, and I don't care about draft picks. And I care even less if Fitzgerald is still going to be here, because what has he done to show you that he can even hit on draft picks? That's a whole nother topic. We can have a whole show about the horrible drafting. So for the people that are like, oh, get us a high draft pick, like, unless you get one of the top 2 picks, again, I'm not a big prospects guy. I've read a little bit about McKenna and the other guy that everyone's talking about. But, you know, those aren't win now pieces or win sometime soon pieces. So now you're talking about what, another version of a rebuild or a retool, whatever it is. And that at the earliest would start in the summer. And again, if Fitz is still here, what faith do you have in anything going properly? It's just a vicious cycle of losing and heartbreak. And it sucks. The 5-star, thank you for the super. Salayev and Yegorov can't come sooner. It's time to ship out this core. I've been to the point where I think for a long time now, I said, I'm over the core. And I think at least one piece needs to be shipped out for a shakeup. I don't think it's going to happen. And I do think Salayev and Yegorov could be big pieces of kind of a new wave of a new reiteration of the Devils, if you will. But Salayev could be here next year. Yegorov probably still a couple years away. But you're talking about a group that most likely would not be in a real position to contend for several years from now. And so you're talking about, what exactly? We're looking forward to, maybe it's Woodson's 2030 mark that he's been kind of saying for a while. I don't know. But yeah, either way, this kind of era of New Jersey Devils hockey will probably go down as the most underwhelming and disappointing in the history of the franchise. I mean, I don't see how you could say anything but. I mean, Ray Shero really did set Fitz up for what should have been a glorious kind of contending run with Brodeur, Nico, and Jack in place, and all the cap space and the draft fortune and winning, getting a number 2 pick and a number 4 pick and a number 7, which was completely squandered on Alex Holtz. And again, we could talk about this all day and night, but the reality is the bright years that we're supposed to be living in right now are anything but. They are the darkest of dark, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Our GM told us he does not look at the standings, that he loves this core and is not changing anything. And so what are we even talking about now? I mean, it's like a bad movie. It's a bad movie. M can't say, he says, Ace, I wouldn't be surprised if they shut down Jack in the next few weeks. I can't see it. I think he wants to keep playing to try to help the team. And obviously heading into the Olympics, I can't see it. But maybe after the Olympics, I don't know. Will Park says, Keefe seems so nonchalant. He seemed pretty defeated tonight, if I'm being honest. He looked pretty broken, and I think he's fed up of this group just failing him. They cannot score. B now says, our fan base sucks. I would run. We like the Jets. We like the Jets. You talking about the football Jets? Lame 24, I mean, we know how good this team played early in the year. It's not ridiculous to think that they can't get back to playing that way again. They frankly played good enough tonight, but Markey's in net. Oh, lame. If that's your interpretation of tonight, that they played good enough. They scored 1 goal. You're going to blame Markey is going to be your fall guy here? I mean, come on. And the fact is that 8-game heater was nearly, you're talking about 3 months ago. That team is dead and gone. I understand how people want to say those same guys are here, but they have not looked anywhere near that team. Everyone needs to stop clutching on to the belief that we're going to see that team again. The team that we've been seeing is the team. They are the team. NJ Swab Fox says, on a positive note, some of us stuck with Xfinity will save money by not having to renew the Gotham Sports app. Randall, if they were serious about writing this, Markey would never start. But again, you could bash Markey all you want, fine. But Markey is the furthest thing from the main problem here. The main problem being literally this team cannot score. FGHY8, the Devils power play is a dumpster fire, and they scored tonight. I'd be worried the Canes are slipping. Carney Asada, just keeping the Devils rush to the outside is all you need to do to beat this team. Yeah, just force them to the outside. They'll put up a bunch of junk shots. And I honestly thought we were going to get shut out. After the first period, I was like, this could be a shutout game. Justin Smith, final from Utica tonight. The Comets 3, Rochester Americans 0. Malik with the shutout. My man, Jakob Malik. Love to see it. He could be a big part of the future here as well. World's Worst Gamer and other sports news. The NFL was easy to pick Saturday. Seattle and Denver. Buffalo once again choked. I read a little bit about that. Did not see anything. Obviously, I was watching the Devils. SJ, trade Brad or Nico. One of them need a major change. B now says, if Allen plays, we win. Very possible. I think that's a stretch. Rapid Blue is the new black. Hey, Ace, I was in town from Florida, was debating if I should go to the game or not. Glad it snowed, and I ultimately decided not to go. Not the worst game, but frustrating. I mean, I would have been furious at this game. It's a lot less painful. Not much less painful, but a good chunk less painful watching from the couch. I can't believe how many of you are literally focused on Markey here. Look at the real problem, the inability to score, and you guys are blaming Markey. It is crazy because so many people here are in love with this group, and it's like you just cannot objectively see what the main issue here is. I would say Markey's play for sure is an issue as well, but it's not the issue. The issue is that this forward group sucks. As a group, they suck. NJ Swamp Fox, what was Keith's rationale in starting Markey? I don't know. But again, it doesn't even matter. Zomboos is 40-30. Sadly, we are going to lose Nemitz when Jack and Luke should be traded. Again, you have to be realistic. They're certainly not going to trade those guys. And we may re-sign Nemitz, but I could also see him being dealt. Nothing would surprise me anymore. At this point, literally nothing would surprise me because this organization is in a very bad way. World's worst gamer, no panic yet until I see what happens over the 10-game stretch. Bro, no panic yet? Like, what kind of world do you people live in? We're in third to last in the conference. No panic yet? When do you panic? When the numbers play out and it's like there's 12 games left in the season and you have to go 12-0 to make the playoffs? Is that when you panic? This is Fitzgerald mentality, and this is why we're here. Had he been a little more proactive and tried to make some moves a month, 2 months ago, we may be in a very different place than we are right now. It is beyond time to panic. The house is on fire. I don't know what more you need to see. The fact that people are literally sitting here saying it's not time to panic, I'm not even panicked anymore. I'm past that point. I'm now in the accepting of the reality phase, past the panic. There's nothing to panic anymore. You know you're dying. You're just waiting for it now. Anyone here could score on Markey. Thirst for war. Can't fire all the players. The coach needs to go. Fitz ain't going, but Keefe isn't worth defending. And again, I'm not going to, go all out in defending him. But this team cannot score. How is a different coach going to change that? All of a sudden, they're going to start scoring on breakaways and converting on grade A chances. I understand why people get this mentality, but at what point are you going to say, how many coaches do we need to see coach this group before we come to the painful and realistic reality that this group is not getting it done no matter who is the coach? Mark says 2017, he sure was drafted first overall. Now it's 2026. Yeah. And he's won 7 total playoff games in a single playoff round in his career. It's unbelievable. Luke says this team is so trash. Tito says, when is the last time we beat Carolina? We beat them last year a few times. But Anton says, word ace, old school street justice. Yeah, you can't get away with that anymore. SJ, Luke, another turnover leads to Kane first goal. So annoying. FGHY says, bring up Malik. World's worst gamer, we need 2 scoring wingers, a physical D-man when almost 0 are in the league, and a true number 1 goalie that can stay healthy. They need so many things, man. Be now, vibrate on a higher frequency, ace. They're not worth your energy. No, I know, but, I just get so mad because it's like, you coward. You would never, and I hate to be the guy that's like, you would never say that to my face, but the reality is these losers would never say it to my face, or at least not in a place where I could do what I had to do and say they pushed me first. They would be very brave in public where they know they're protected. And that's what these cowards do. That's, 2026. Run your mouth when you know you're in a safe place. Gary says Devils need to make some trades yet, but I'm not expecting it. M. Cansani says Ace don't be no, just sports is all make-believe anyway. Yeah, but the people talk real life smack. Trolls are fine as long as people do it in fun. No, it's not fun. It's just malicious cowardice. Scoot says Jack cares more about his media presence. What do you mean by his media presence? Vecna Fitzgerald says, I go to war next with all the idiots. Got my pick and all. I don't care. Screw the trolls. And Jay Fanatic, ever since 2009, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Goal shocker in the third to win the series. The Kane have owned the Devils. I hate to break it to you. They owned us long before that. That might be the start of you realizing it, but that obviously the Game 7 collapse at the Rock, I was there for that. I know many of you were as well. One of the most painful games I've been at live. The 5-star, thank you for the super. Gavin McKenna could be a game changer if lottery works. Yeah, but do you want this team to just completely bottom out in hopes that they win the lottery? I mean, there's no guarantee. Swamp Fox loop started the collapse, and Markey accelerated it. After that, this weak-minded team collapse. Has to be frustrating playing on the same team as both of them. Insane Pollock ace the pattern with the team. Make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, make the playoffs. We're here, miss the playoffs. It's unacceptable. Guaranteed making the playoffs was the old school Devils way. It was like, we are making the playoffs, obviously. How many rounds are you going to win? Can they compete for a cup? The loser mentality that has plagued this organization that for years now is like, making the playoffs is something to celebrate. And it's like, my God, how far we've fallen. The bar is on the floor. Like, we're going to celebrate just making the playoffs. It's sickening. And I know a lot of you other longtime fans are just as aggravated and disgusted as I am, because the current version of this organization does not resemble the organization we grew up watching in any way, shape, or form. Nothing about it. Nearly unrecognizable. Anson says, Ace, I'm here for this vigilante version. We're the same age and mindset here. Yeah, old heads. Arker, so many people just start jumping Markstrom after a bad game, but are silent after good games, and it's so annoying. Criticize him is fine. I've seen so many nasty comments about his family, which is awful. I mean, yeah, if people take it to that level, like, give me a break. Did he play good tonight? No. Is he the reason we lost? Absolutely not. The reason we lost is because we cannot score goals. So, even prime of his career, Marty Brodeur may not have won the game tonight because he would have had to literally pitch a shutout for us to win. World's Worst Gamer says so many times people are called trolls even when they spit facts. No, I'm a realist, man. If you have a debate, a fair point, totally valid. Debate is awesome. Love it. When you're just like, F you, loser, like that's just complete trolling. Titus says, I'm with you on trolls, but let's be real. Most folks would potentially lose their job to stream. I don't know what that means. You usually get an ultimatum. I don't know what that means. Beachmaster, Kane's announcers were saying booing Luke was wrong as if he turned it over on that goal. Sunrise, I missed the 90s and 2000s before social media. You just watched and read quotes in the paper. Very different sports experience, for sure. Maddie Mo Money, 238 people here and 44 likes. Thanks, Maddie. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. I mean, this team is brutal, and I got to, watching the game's painful enough, and then I got to come here and talk about it some more. It's completely disheartening. Mark Schwab, thank you for the super. I woke up and saw the second and third period. After 2-0, they were done. I am disgusted. Jack is somehow not himself, turns pucks over, and we have no scoring touch. At least Covey is physical. Greetings. Thanks a lot, Mark. Yeah, you woke up just in time to watch the collapse. Jack is not himself because he's wearing a protective mitt under his glove because whatever he did with his hand that Chicago cut, as a result, has no power on his shot. Generating chances but can't finish. Definitely not himself. Seems to be turning it over a little more than usual. But no one else can score either. Completely correct. We cannot score as a team. And as a result, the team is struggling mightily. No surprise here. And Kovacevic, love to see it. The main reason why I fell in love with the guy so early when we got him last season was because he did remind me of the throwback types of players that I grew up watching, where you kind of see the no BS with him, where he will smash guys. He will get in guys' faces. And you did see tonight when, was it Martinook? I forget who it was. Somebody kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily a cheap shot, but it was like someone hit Siegs, I believe. And he came over and was ready to get, he was ready for whatever was going to go down. He was ready for all the smoke. The guy backed down, and then later he decked somebody too. But Kovacevic, an absolute animal on the back end. I wish we had a couple more guys with his temperament up front, and we don't. And it's a problem. But thank you very much, Mark. And it's a Sour Patch flavor color, red and orange. Okay. Wow, you're going with the watermelon. It's a whole separate bag. I have those too. Gary says Kane's playing flyer hockey. Luke, what's up? Can't beat Carolina when Markstrom is a net. He's trash. Come on, Luke. We weren't beating Carolina with anyone in net. It wouldn't have mattered. Will says Canes are the Devils what Florida is to the Canes. Well, I guess except for last night, though, right? SJ, it's weird some teams own certain teams. Titus Stream says, I'm tired of the Luke defenders. Dudes losing us games. I get the future is bright spiel. Like I haven't heard it with Jelena, Larson, Merrill, Severson. Oh, I know. Luke says, I'm at the point where I hope they lose 90% of their games so they can maybe fire Boozeface. I honestly don't think even that would get him fired. I don't think so either. And so I can't, and I've explained this before because people have brought this up before. I cannot root for the team to be bad, first of all, ever, because I'm a diehard fan. But this kind of logic that a lot of people are coming up with, like, well, maybe if they really suck, Fitz will get fired. Like, no, he's not. So just root for them to somehow win, despite this guy being the general manager. S just says Luke thinks he's Quinn. He's not. He needs to simplify. Oh, what? You didn't buy into the narrative from all the deranged Devils fans that said he was going to be better? Gary, Brad does not play full hockey when he can't play with Jack. He wants Nico. Put Brad on the third line. I mean, they're not going to put Brad on the third line. B now, we are out shooting them first, have 2-1 and 20 shots, 0 goals. Yeah. No traffic at the net certainly doesn't help, but M can't say to Ace Markey's one of the main issues. He's never been able to carry a game. We scored 1 goal, man. Come on. I understand you're frustrated with the goaltending play. I am too. But we cannot score. 2 goals back-to-back takes all the heat out of the team. I think they were pretty much cooked after the first one. NJ Swamp Fox says Luke seems to have zero situational awareness. Hold on 1 second. Be right back. 1 second. 1 second. Oh. I'm back. It's just, I think he's feeling the pressure of the season. You know, it's just such a terrible year. When I share the diagnosis, he said that the New Jersey Devils are killing me. No, they said it was likely like, I forget the fancy term, but basically like a sinus infection. Got some antibiotics, and here we are. Luke, Markey gave up 2 terrible goals. Part of the problem is any shot could go in. Teams can't play good hockey when they can't trust their goaltending. I get what you're saying, but I'm still, in the end, when you look at this team, their inability to score is why they suck. Period. I cannot blame goalies. I'm sorry. I just can't. Collect records. Finishing has been their issue since Toffoli left. Shitheel Fitz has all the time to find someone. Yeah, we talked about that plenty of times around here. You know, you lose a top 6 winger and never replace them, and just think that you're just going to generate one from within. Like that's certainly a wish and a hope, right? Like, oh, we lost a good top 6 winger, so someone is just going to step up and fill that void, and that someone's already here. We don't need to go get him from the outside. NJ Viewer says Keefe has to go. Top players have gone downhill since Keefe took over. Bratt and Hughes were miles better under Lindy. Allen is playing better this season than Markey, and he keeps playing Markey. They're trying to get Markey in a groove. He did play pretty well for a string of games before the Islander beatdown, and then he responded after that. He had the last 2 wins, and they're trying to get him hot. I can't blame them. You know, I certainly could have went either way for tonight. Like, you know, I understand the thing with Markey. He is a rhythm guy. They wanted to get him another, hopefully, win in a good performance. And I certainly would have understood if they started Allen. But either way, what you have to realize is we weren't winning this game tonight. Either way, we weren't. John NJ Devils, what's going on? What's up, big dog? Never seen a team fold like this when they go down 1 goal. They have no life. Yeah. It's really a shame. Gary says Jack needs to be like Celebrini and Bedard, who take control of the games. And again, you know, I hate to be this guy. Jack's a very good player. But if you're being honest, he's not as good as those guys. And I think a lot of people just kind of buy into hype and comparisons and all of these things. Like, I would actually say that Celebrini is substantially better than him. And probably Bedard as well, guys. Like, listen, I like Jack, but let's be realistic. Again, you cannot let your fandom completely blind you. He is not a super elite player. He's not. He looks like it once in a while, but overall, he is not. World's Worst Gamer, we had 10 more giveaways than Carolina. Not shocking. World's Worst Gamer, this podcast sounds like the Rags podcast. I'd imagine there are some of them. I don't watch any of these things, but I'm sure they're being realistic about where the team is at as well. Like, what are we supposed to talk about? Are we supposed to be like Fitz and be like, oh, better luck next time? We don't even look at the standings, so I'm hoping we make the playoffs. Like, what do you actually expect during a time like this? FGH says Jack will get injured at the Olympics and a top 5 pick is coming. That'd be terrible. Thirst for war. If Luke turns it over, make the save. It happens with Markey. It's a guaranteed goal. Running with the Woods. And if we tank the next 3 years, these good picks will align with our real window in 2030. And then who else is even still here, Woodson? I mean, how could you even – I don't even understand how you could predict that, because at that point, like, who is even still here? Archer says Markey sucked tonight, but he's not the biggest issue. Defense is an issue, so is offense, because we don't score. We could have come back from 0-2 if we had strong offense tonight. NJ Viewer says roster is good enough. Coaching isn't. I would tell you the roster is not good enough. Running with the Woodson, imagine the cap space 3 entry-level contracts in the lineup would give us. Yeah, it's a nice hypothetical. I'm never on board with that. Trade Luke and Jax as our cup windows between 2035 and 2040 when our future draft picks will be in their prime. So that's so far away that literally there'll probably be no one here from the current team. So I don't even know how you could predict for that to even be a cup window. It makes no sense. B now says, does our GM look at the standings? He told us all a couple days ago that he does not. Thirst for War says, fingers crossed the Olympic arena never gets finished. No, it's regardless of wherever they're at, they're going to play the games. You know, there's some kind of secondary things that might not be finished, but they've already played some games there. David, Ace, unfortunately, there's no bright future. Take off your glasses, man, so you can see the truth. I see the truth very clearly, and it sucks. TJK, did not bother watching these losers. Watch my Broncos fight tooth and nail against Josh Allen and 1 OT. Just for a night to be ruined that my QB Bo Nix broke his ankle and is done. So who's their quarterback for the next one? Madison says, in your opinion, what trades do the Devils need to make? Who are they looking to get? They need to trade. They need to shake up the core. But Fitzgerald told us he's not going to do that. And so I don't think I'm not expecting anything. I mean, that's the sad reality. I don't think there's going to be any meaningful trades made this season, which I've been predicting for quite some time now. And now that this team is where they are in the standings, it's going to make it that much easier for Fitz and his team to justify not making any moves. So it's just a vicious cycle. Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you I thought we were going to get some guy that's going to make a difference. I don't think you're going to see any moves of any kind until the summer. It is what it is. Fitz basically outlined this with his Q&A session the other day. David Chime says, no offense, Keefe never sparks the offensive system to fit our talent. Almost every player declines offensively. It's the coach. I just can't believe how you guys can watch these guys get these chances and not score. I'm not saying Keefe may not be part of the problem, but to believe that, like, oh, they're going to fire Keefe, scapegoat another coach for this group, and then another coach is going to come in, and all of a sudden this forward group is going to start scoring, I think is wildly delusional. And I can accept that, B now. It's not the thing, but Markey is part of the problem. Fine. Motel Signs, totally agree with your assessment on the Devils' major problem finishing. The more worrisome problem is the issue of quit once adversity comes. I said that before. I hope you were wrong on that one. No, we've seen it. The body language is there. when they're down and things get hard, they just wither and die. And other teams can sense it. And when they smell blood in the water, they go for the kill. And it's not hard to kill this team. It happens. Dubs is like, at this point, don't do anything. Just let it keep bottoming out. Fitz can't be allowed to touch this roster. He can't be trusted. We'll be last in the East by Thursday, and they will change nothing. Said. Exactly. So I still have to root for them to do something. I still want to see them somehow make a run, despite how improbable it is, because Fitz isn't going anywhere. So what are we talking about? David says, reality has just hit me. The team was on fire the first 2 weeks of the season when they went 8-1. After that, this season was a wrap. They won't win more than 3 in a row for the rest of the year. Probably. They might win 4 in a row maybe at some point. But yeah, the consistently inconsistent New Jersey Devils. And it's a really rough situation. Gary says, problem is Jack is not as good as Celebrini. Not even close. Thirst for war, his stats do not earn him starts. Where's the problem with that statement? No, that's fine. That's fine. But to blame Markey for the reason for this team struggling, the biggest reason is they cannot score goals, period. Now, I'll accept that he's not playing well and he's part of the problem. Fine. I'll accept all of that. But the primary reason this team is not a good team is because despite getting glorious chances every single game, they cannot put the puck in the net. And so to expect goaltenders to have a shutout, to give your team a chance to win is crazy. It's completely crazy. Will Parks says, to be fair, Celebrini is grossly good. Oh, for sure. But someone threw that out there, so I just had to talk about it. Jubilee says, Ace, have you seen any of the Steve Dangle podcast? They've been talking a lot about the Devils recently. I have not. Crazy Alex, what's up? He says, no panic. He must not look at the standings. He told us he doesn't. Randall says the house has burnt down. Trade Luke and Jack. It is too many commentators here now, so we need to limit everyone to how posts. What? 5 posts during live would make sense. There's no way to police that. Madison says, I don't think this is Keefe's fault, and neither do I. SJ, it's over. No way they win 20 games. I don't think so either. Dubs is like, fans are overrating the roster. Completely agree. And this is like, and like, if you talk about this, there's a group of people that believe like just being blind to the reality of the situation and constantly defending these guys and constantly singing their praises. Like, if you don't do that, you're a bad fan. It's like, no, we're realistic fans. Come to the light. Like, to constantly believe the hype that you're putting out. Markey's only a small piece. These forwards don't score. That's the major problem. The team is a lottery team. It's not even close to a playoff team. Tell them, Dubs. A lot of these people are in love with the roster, just like Fitz, and it's clear they're not going to get it done. Gleason, Ace, we need a longer sample size with our full team. Absolutely not, Gleason. We only saw the injured team according to Fitz. Now we have to wait for this 500 full team. They go on a run they won't make. Okay, so no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I remember when Ace screaming, someone even slightly mentioned about missing the playoffs. Again, and I will die on this hill. I've said this a million times. I've said sometimes doomers end up being correct. However, they make statements way too soon. And I actually even pulled it up because I vividly remember you saying the Devils are going to miss the playoffs. I forget when it was and what the Devils' record was at the time, but I do remember on Money Puck or whatever website it was, at that time, the Devils' percent chance to make the playoffs was literally 80%. And so for you to, that's a doomer. Doomerishly, is that even a real word? Doomerishly? For you to doomerishly predict them to miss the playoffs when the actual math at the time stated they were 80% to make the playoffs is insane. So yes, congratulations. You want me to applaud? There you go. Running with the Woodson, one of the biggest doomers I've ever come across, ended up being right, but literally made the prediction when we were 80% to make the playoffs. And so I don't know what you want from me. At the time, it was insane. And that's what I said at the time. Sean, Bratt missed 2 breakaways. Jack missed an open shot. No one's finished all night. Yeah, but people want to, that's Keefe's fault, Sean. Somehow that's Keefe's fault. I don't know how, but it is. Holmes Markey is totally washed. The forwards suck. Luke is the worst defenseman on the team, and the team has no balls. A little harsh, but certainly rooted in reality. Ritter Engine says it's over. NJ Fanatic, we outshot them basically all game. Jack is not 100%. Yeah, that's obvious. And they just couldn't put it by Anderson. Markey needs to tend the goal and keep it out our net, period. I'm trying to catch up faster here. Titus Dream, I've never seen a hockey team that's Jekyll and Hyde. They never give you 60 minutes. It's always 50 minutes or 3 minutes each period. They get crash the net. David Chimes, Jack Hughes, 100-plus points playing before Sheldon. He's had 99 points once, David. Let's not pretend like this kid was putting up 100-plus points for seasons and seasons. He had 99 points one time. Everybody calm down. timomeier, 35-40 goal player before Sheldon. Yeah, in San Jose. Goaltending goes from 4 to... I can't with some of you guys. Some of you guys are nuts. My man DJ, as a former tendy, playing behind a team that you know can't score is deflating. You subconsciously alter your style of play, and if you give up even one goal, you feel like you're getting no help. Yeah, I get that too. Like, this group cannot score. Jay Reardon says we need Bobby Holik. Only 6 points out of a wild card spot. Yeah, it's sad. Thirst for war, but there's nothing we can do about Fitzy's choices. Keefe is the obvious move. But this is where I think we, as a group, people like, so you just have to, you're so bloodthirsty that you're like, let's fire a guy who's not the problem because the guy that is the problem is allowed to be here, so we need to do something. So to just do anything, we're going to fire Keefe? Like, I think it's nuts. Kyle Meagher says going to be status quo like usual tomorrow, bottom 5 GM in the league. He might be, forget bottom 5, he might be the worst GM in all of pro sports, not just the league, across all sports. Michael says, still love the Devils, but I'm heartbroken. I'm completely with you. Kyle says the core is fine, loses 7 of 8 games to the Canes. Titus, they have to move Douglas before they ruin Nemo as well. They're on their way to pissing off everybody during this tragic season. Justin Smith, the next time this team makes the playoffs, I might be dead. M. Cansani says, I don't even trust Fitz to make the right pick at number 1. Trade that. Oh, dude. You're crazy if you think they ever had the number 1 pick that they would trade it. They would love it so much to talk about the bright future. Gary says, send Jack to Minnesota. It's never going to happen. Justin Smith, the Hughes brothers are afraid to get hit. Got another Markey isn't the issue here. FGHYH, Jack looks like a high school kid out there lately, like his rookie season. He's playing super injured. NJ Viewer Ace, you think the coach doesn't matter? We had the worst 5-on-5 scoring in 2025. Again, I'm not saying he's completely blameless, but for the bloodthirsty folks to point to him as the single problem when this group has cost several coaches their job because they cannot score, I cannot in my right mind point to Keefe as the problem. Gary says, Devils don't have a spine. Playing from behind, our cup teams would have beat this team bad. Oh, there's no comparison. Even some of our just run-of-the-mill playoff teams during the glory years would have pounded this current team into submission. Brand McCracken says, just got back from the game. I started a firefitz chant and heard a few others in the 100 section. I'm sure it wasn't nearly loud enough. You couldn't hear it on TV. David, when the home crowd boos your own team more than a former player like Terrell Hall, in the case, that's when you know your team really sucks. Geese Feeder, Ace, unrelated question to the game, but what are your thoughts on the future of Seamus Casey? I feel like there's no long-term plan for him based on how our right-hand D lineup looks. There's so many other things that are more pressing than this, Geese Feeder, but I think about it a lot. I was high on him early on, his offensive game obviously looked great in the small sample size we saw with the Devils. But I don't know, because it's predicated on, and Casey can play both sides, by the way. It doesn't necessarily have to be right side, but there's so many other things, like, do they trade Nemo or is he still here? What happens with Dougie? So, like, I don't know. I could see him being a trade chip, or I could see him being a big piece of the future. It just depends on what happens with all these other guys. Markey is an issue guy. Do you watch hockey? I said he's a problem, but he's not the problem. IQ just got home from the game in another underwhelming performance. That'd be putting it nicely. NJ Fanatic, question is, are we selling or buying at the deadline or nothing like usual? That's the thing. It won't be much of anything. A small tweak here or there. They won't be selling anything significant. They're not going to be buying anything significant. It's just more of what we've already seen. Basically nothing, or what I would call nothing. Like some random bargain bin type player like Sprong, what I'll call a Sprong-esque type move. Is what you will see, if anything. And to me, it's basically nothing. So I don't expect to see any big type of sale or buy. It's just more of the same. And it's really unfortunate. Justice Meyer was the best Devil on the ice tonight. Salvatore joining late. Did we talk about Nemitz getting scratched? I didn't go to it in great depth, but my thoughts on this are kind of well documented. Like, if Dougie is going to be moved, then just keep him out of the lineup. But I do believe there's a chance that there's really no deal even remotely in place, and he may finish the year here. And so if that is the case, then I really don't know what you do, because you're constantly going to have to scratch someone and piss these guys off. And it could ultimately lead to a very bad relationship between Nemo and the team, and he very well may want to get the hell out of here. I mean, I wouldn't blame him. It's just been a mishandled situation, in my opinion. Yasuo Phoenix says the future is bright, listening from Amsterdam. Sean Covey, only Devil on the ice that played with a backbone. Yeah, he's a scrapper. The 5-star says, why are you so high on Malik when we have Yegorov? I talk about both of them regularly. I've said I think they could be the future tandem for the Devils. I think Malik is probably slightly closer in terms of NHL readiness, but I like both of them, and I hope they both pan out. But Malik is playing in the A. He was playing professionally in Finland. Yegorov's still in college. Like, he's got at least a couple of years. Let me take these off. Titus says, hard disagree. Jack's gimped his backhand is trash, and his wrister looks like he got his spine fused. What are you disagreeing with? I said his backhand has nothing on it. Blue is the best Sour Patch. Thirst for war. I agree with you 100%, Ace. They need to score, but Markey is not it, and Keefe has proven he can't motivate this team. Fine. But you fire Keefe, bring in a new coach, and play Allen every single game. Guess what? This team still is not good. That is the reality. Team is still not good. Running with the Woods says Fitz will get fired when no one goes to games. That's, unfortunately, I do think the only thing, we've talked about this forever, the only thing that will truly bring about change is a consistently empty building. Beat out Godfrey. We tried putting Lenny in after we call him up. He can actually finish. Nah, put in a guy you put on waivers. Thought that was a bizarre kind of move. But maybe they want Lenny to, ease his way in maybe, and we'll see him soon. I don't know. But I certainly would have put him in over Lamico. Sometimes it's watermelon, Sour Patch, blue, the rest. Okay. Alex, this is exactly the result expected. Devils fans drink the Kool-Aid, expect them to magically turn around against a top team, and the Devils crap in their faces. Incredible stuff. Negative night across the board for everybody here. I mean, I'm not surprised. It just sucks. We're just bad. Timu, any player drafted by this team will be ruined as long as Shits is in charge. The organization continues to be unserious about winning. It certainly seems that way. Beathouse says Ace right. We're never winning, scoring 1 goal a game. Yeah, they're not. Gary, radio announcers even jumped on the Devils, but I don't disagree with the way they call games. I will listen to their post game at some point. Thanasis Hughes is trending towards just the guy territory. Dude is not impressive. Still very young playing. I know you don't want to hear this, but a very young kid playing a very tough position in the best league in the world. It all probably came way too soon, and I've said that before. You know, the ice time, the roles he was getting, obviously the contract, but with everything coming kind of like that, people have unrealistic expectations. And here we are. DJ, a goalie can't score goals too. They can't do it all. No, they cannot. But these people want to kill the 10D. Dubs is like, they weren't winning tonight, even if they had the best goalie in the league, and that doesn't matter when you don't score. That's where I'm at, right? Like, are some of these things valid complaints? Absolutely. But when you're scoring a goal per game, we've been shut out, I think, already 5 times or whatever. Like, there's far more pressing issues to talk about than the goaltending. We needed Quinn, who definitely would have helped. Not saying he would have fixed everything, but he certainly would have helped. Metalander, this is same shit, different day. The Canes are patient and wait for our defensive mistakes. We always oblige. The last 2 games, courtesy of Luke. Down to the studs, please. Yeah, but, you know, Fitz is in love with this group. We are not going to see any meaningful change anytime soon, or at least while he's here. Wild. M can't say it would be nice if Fitz and Keefe had the stones to sit Luke and dress Nemitz. Running with the Wind says that's the whole point. In 2030, most of our horrible players will be gone. M can't stand it. 2035 to 40. Nico will have been in the league for 20 years and nearing retirement. Oh, he could be retired by then. I mean, yeah, it's so insanely far away. World's Worst Gamer, I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup win in 2073-74 when I am 100. 90s kid, what up? B now, you got to score, obviously, but remember when Marty would make 5 games stealing saves, and then we would score and go on a run? We don't have that. You know what we also don't have, B now? Any of the forwards like the forwards we had on those teams. We just do not. Brandon says, the fact that owners believe in the core show me they have no idea what they're doing. No, I don't necessarily know they even know that much, but they believe in Fitz, and that's the problem because Fitz believes in the core. Gary, Devils need to sit Jack or not let him go to the Olympics. That will never, ever happen. David, I watch every Sharks game. Celebrating his next level. Jack, 100% health. Not playing lame on or lame O'Keefe hockey is only a hair below the absolute monsters of the NHL. McDavid, McKinnon, and Celebrini. Gary, heard on Top Shelf Hockey, Dougie going to Utah and Nick Smoltz to the Devils. I don't know what Top Shelf Hockey is, but I'm not believing anything until we see it. NJ Fanatics says we need to get a real number 1 tender, period. None of this 1A, 1B shit. I would like to see one too. I really wanted Hellebuck when those rumors were swirling around a couple years ago. That never happened. But there's just so many holes. Benjamin, this entire roster is mentally broken. That's obvious. Draft pick means Zippo. Beachmaster says Brad is better than Jack. Maybe the current version of Jack. Jersey Roots, AO, Ace, and all the other dirty devil barbarians. Another tough beating. Devil's dead. My man, Austin, the thing that pisses me off the most about tonight is there's no fight in these guys. The minute things get hard, they roll over and surrender. Absolutely. You know, Kovacevic shoved a couple people. We saw the Nico hit, but like when you're getting stomped out, like go start a fight. Just do something to show that you care. The people in this chat care more about the loss than the guys playing the games. NJ viewer Fitz has to show some courage and fire Keefe. He screwed up big time firing Lindy. Now he's making the opposite mistake. NJ viewer, do you believe that Fitz is the problem? Or do you think that Keefe is the problem? Gleason, Ace, have you considered if Timo is actually overpaid now that he's been a 50-point player for like 3 years and all the power play, what excuses and everything are gone? The whole team disappeared this year, guy. Timo was the only one who he scored a goal and crushed a guy tonight. That's more than everyone else did. And so, sure, could he be slightly overpaid? And now that the cap's going up, I would say it's probably about where he should be. Look at what other guys are getting paid. But to blame him. This is all just misguided nonsense from all of you. Timo is the furthest thing from the problem on this team as well. Yeah. Running with the Wind says Lou would have fired Keith months ago. Maybe not. But Lou is also extreme. Slurp one Ace, you think the team could be looking for a 63-year-old retired defenseman? I'll show these players how to hit somebody. This team has no character or muscle. Completely agree. I'm trying to catch up here. Slurp one says, how do you expect to slow down a team like Carolina? You have to hit them for 60 minutes, no excuses. These guys don't like to do it. NJ Fanatic, Timo's forced into a different system and it's not working for him. Look at him on SJ. He was a powerhouse. It's the system. I think that's a cop-out. He was constantly played on the right wing, which he's not here, and he was constantly on power play 1. It's not even remotely comparable. Thirst for Worse says, Ace, just, half these comments are for the chat, not arguing with you. I'm not trying to argue with anyone either. I'm just, pulling up some comments here as I skim. We got V Pod says, fire Keith. Jersey Roots, I would chop my leg off for Celebrini. I think a lot of us would. Dubs is like 15 games, 11 losses versus Metro opponents this season. Pathetic. This is a pathetic season. Benjamin 3-5 in January. Jersey Roots team morale is low. They got to cut the fat immediately. World's Worst Gamer not in love with the roster. Just realized this 10-game stretch is the easiest and most important this season. No reason they can't win 7 or 8 out of 10 in this stretch. So far, they are 1-1. Oh boy, that would be great, but I just can't see it. Titus Dream says we have enough data. The current core is cooked. Coach is not fixing it. We need a hockey trade. We probably need that lottery pick. I'm with you. I just think as constructed, they're going nowhere. More of the same. We need a shakeup. NJ Viewer says John Cooper will get this roster playing, but we've got Keith. Thirst for War says Ace, like me, would never root against his team. He's a real one. I can't. For picks and bullshit, come on, man. I just want to see this team be good. I can't get in this, if we suck and get the pick. And then, no, just go friggin' win games. Gleason, fans have overrated Devils players for so long. Look around the teams around the league. We think someone like Grits, who I like, is a god. He's just another guy to us if he's on another team. I'm certainly not calling him a god. I like the kid, but nowhere near a god. David Chime says it ain't the roster, it's Fitz and Keith. I think it's the roster and Fitz, but you're entitled to your opinion. Brian says it's definitely the roster. Yeah, and then also Keith, obviously, because he's in love with the roster and not making the right moves. But in the end, when you have a team that generates these chances night after night and cannot score, how do you blame the coach for that? Furthermore, how does a GM see this? And this has been going on for quite some time now. And the GM be like, nope, these guys are going to get it done. What makes you believe in this group so much? Because they won a playoff round against the Rangers 3 years ago? It's crazy. Titus Dream says, embrace the retool, boys. B now says, run with the Woodson. You were dooming when we didn't win that 9th game in a row. IQ, the section next to me was yelling fire. Fitzy had me smiling. NJ Fanatic, it's obvious that Jack and Luke aren't going anywhere. I think Timo should stay. Move on from Brat. That's a fair kind of assessment. B now, our shots definitely do not indicate quality chances. A lot of garbage shots. Fifey Lane, Marky's post-game media. I didn't see it yet. Prezify, it's the roster. They did the same stuff under Lindy. Definitely Fitz's fault as well, though. It's everything genuinely. It's all shit. It's a good synopsis. Yeah, people forget Brat can't be traded without his approval. Obviously, his trade protection, you would need him to sign off on that. Archer says, I think people are also forgetting that Allen and Markstrom's win-loss, overtime loss numbers are very similar right now. Benjamin says, if you think Keith is the problem over either Hughes, you need a rubber room. People are down on the Hughes brothers. I still think they could be part of a winning team, but I think you do need the right cast around them, and I don't think that's ever happened. Ryan, we have one more chance to try to beat the Canes on Saturday, March 28th on the road in Carolina. Yeah, good luck with that. Richie, holy crap, the coach can't go out on the ice and score goals for these guys. Benjamin says Luke Hughes will be a complete bust. Quote me. I think it's way too early for that. Way too early for that. MK saying Ace no one is getting moved, not on the team or front office. Fitz said so the other day. Guys completely out of touch. No, I said that. And I said that's the main reason I don't think you're going to see many changes. And I said that even before the press conference. I said based on what we've seen from him during his time here, he's not going to do anything big during the year, especially if we're out of a playoff picture. It's an easy, look forward to a higher draft pick. Rinse and repeat. Devil Dog, I don't think anyone's pointing to Sheldon Keefe as a single problem. I think you'd be surprised how many people are. Be now, if you saw Old School Devils, you know all the many reasons this team is not it. Totally not it. Brian, I'm convinced Fitz will punt the season and waste another year and not acquire anyone of significance. Brian, that is exactly what is happening. And I've said it for months. For months. Cannot make the big deals during the season and will not. And especially when the team is in the position they're in, you're not going to see anything until the summer. And I'm so curious to see what happens at that point. M. Cansania, Ace, these Fire Keefe people fail to realize this team was like this under Ruff, Green, and Hines. Oh, don't let facts get in the way of a good nonsensical narrative, Canstania. These people love scapegoating coaches because they do not want to realize the fact. And the fact is that this group is not good enough. Period. They never have been and they never will be. But they want to keep believing like a little child believing in Santa Claus. They want to believe that, then when the next coach comes, everything's going to be fine because this core is great. And it's just, you're just living in a detached from reality world. And it's unfortunate, but that is what it is. Another coach to get scapegoated for a group of underachieving players that have underachieved their entire careers. Richie says, let's blame Keefe as well for Jack's injuries. Let's fire him because the Diva hasn't completed a full season. There it is. I told you. I'm singling out Keefe as the issue. These are the people that Keefe is the issue. Just like all the other coaches before him. Madison, Casey was an all-star this season for the second year in a row. Yeah, AHL all-star is great. We'll see what becomes of his career. He could be a trade chip, or depending on what happens with some of these other defensemen, he may be a New Jersey Devil at some point in the near future. Gary Hines was a good coach. It was bad players. Celluloid, I'll tell you when the incompetent loser F-nut POS makes a move when it's far too late. That's when. Nothing big's happening this year, guys. Running with the Woodson. Casey will take Nemeth's spots, and we screwed it up. He would fit right into the other midgets on this team. Yeah, everyone's just super down. Running with the Woodson says Casey can be the next punching bag to get benched instead of our privileged players. NJ Viewer, we got 112 points under Lindy, then had no goalies, and Fitz blundered by firing him. Look at Buffalo now. So you think we would have 112 points again if Lindy was here? SJ Devils are much better if they score first, but if they get scored on, they are so weak mentally. Completely agree with that. Trade Luke and Jack. AJ Greer, 210-pound dude in the fourth liner we've once had is on a 35-point pace this season. The story of every player once they leave the Devils. Everybody becomes better when they leave the Devils. It is true. And at some point, as an organization, they're going to have to take a hard look in the mirror and be like, why does every guy go on to improve when they leave here? At some point, you can't say it's a coincidence anymore. David, defense first, eliminated the speed game that our core thrives on. Defensive defense player commentators are all in on that strategy and never blames goalie or scoring. But they're still getting a million chances every game and not scoring. So you could say all of this, but it's irrelevant. It would hold a lot more water if this system was so suppressing to them that they weren't getting chances. They're getting chances galore. Galore. They cannot finish. Woodson says, unless you get a return for Dougie and Palat, you let them stay for the remainder of their contracts. Can't lose picks and prospects now. M. Cansanda, NJ Viewer, the 112-point season was an outlier, and that is the unfortunate reality as well. That is the unfortunate reality as well. As time goes on, it is being proven to be an outlier. I didn't want to believe it, but that's the real. Westbound on Olympic. I'm officially done with this team. We'll re-engage after ownership makes the necessary changes. I don't know when that's going to happen either. But now, we all sat here the other night saying we would probably be drinking loser beverages tonight. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. Anson says maybe the team needs Surge on the bench. Put a little Surge in the Gatorade bottles. Fentanyl Floyd, what do we do about Markstrom for the next 2 seasons? I'm already pre-depressed over the 26-27 season. Who knows? I have no idea. David, what would they have to do this road trip to give you back some hope? 3-1 against the Flames, Oilers, Canucks, and Kraken. I mean, 3-1 is what? I mean, it's just prolonging the agony, but sure. 3-1, it's like, okay, yeah, they basically have to go 3-1 every 4 games for the rest of the season. Like, do you think that that's likely? I don't. Jay Reardon, we need a Tom Wilson, Brady Tkachuk, Bobby Holik. Oh, I'd be ecstatic to get a player that's like any one of those 3 guys. We have nothing like it. Austin, this was the game the Devils needed to win. This was going to make or break our season. It's hard for me to put so much stock into a regular season game like this, but it did seem like if there was going to be like a rallying point or something, the table was set for this to be that game, right? Against Daddy, especially after the last game, they whacked us, and it was the Luke Hughes Boogate, looking to be 3 in a row once again, playing them at home, looking to go on the Western Canada road trip kind of on a high. And we just, once again, in a big time moment, when the lights are shining the brightest, decide to lay an egg. Austin, there's no consistency in the core of this Devils team. I agree with that. Jersey Roots, Keefe's going to have a mental breakdown any day. I feel for the guy. Yeah, so do I. I think he got sold a bill of goods and came here, and he probably regrets it every day of his life. Liam, people in the chat will watch Brat go ghost mode for the last 2 months, but watch Jack come back early for an injury and just go below a point per game and genuinely say Brad is better. Yeah, I think that's crazy. Everybody disappeared when Jack went down when we needed them the most. Brat was getting random assists here and there, but he didn't score forever. And then he had 2 goals the other day. Now everyone's like, oh, pretending like Brat did not disappear. I couldn't agree with you more, Liam. It's wild. Devils Den, Timo's not the problem on this team. However, he's the only one I think of the core that can be traded. The GM isn't trading Jack, Nico, or Brat. I don't think he's not trading any of them. He's in love with all of them. But I will say, because of the type of player he is, if I had to pick one of them to trade, it probably would be Brat. And I love Bratter, but we are long overdue for a shakeup. Trading Timo away, you then have literally no physicality in the forward group, and especially in the top 6. Justin Smith, this fan base is going to have a mental breakdown. The hell with Keefe. Titus, Timo is never the 70-point player. His career average is 50-plus. Dude's the only banger we have. Completely with you. Gary, we need Dano and other Devils to go in the locker room and both at these pansies suit up and play hockey or get off the ice. Rendich, who can you even move in the core? Most of them, I think, except for Jack. I think they all have trade protection except for Jack, but you'd have to ask them to waive it. But then it's not going to happen. This is all just kind of spitballing out loud. Fitz loves the core and no one's getting moved. He's going down with this group for however long he's here for. But a move, I'm not around long enough, wondering how likely it is to get a repeat of this season next season. Do we need to see practically all new players to assume it may be different? What if the roster stays? There's a lot of variables. I still, and it may be crazy, but do think a competent GM could turn this around with a few big trades. But we don't have a competent GM. So it is likely that we see something similar to this. But you also, and again, it's a terrible reality, and it's not an excuse coming from me. Like, there is no excuses, but the reality is Jack going down when he did hurt this team tremendously as well. And he's still nowhere near 100%. So you could essentially say kind of a footnote on this season will be Jack being injured, and then the rest of the guys just disappearing all the same year. Ryan says, Fitzy's message to the fans is eat shit and like the taste. Doesn't seem to think there's a problem. Trust the score that can't score an aging goalie who makes me miss VTech. Fair points. And you forgot to add that he doesn't look at the standings. Devil Dog says, Grits and Nemo are gods around here. I like them both, but they're nowhere near gods. We don't have any gods on this team, period. No one even remotely close to gods. All the gods are up in the rafters, and we haven't seen anyone close ever since. Beachmaster says, Brad has had better point totals for the last 6 out of 7 years. Yeah, but that's, again, because of the injuries. But I get it. I mean, I think Brad historically has been very good. Richie, it's the architect. Who's the architect of this team? It's Fitz, not Keefe or the strength and conditioning coaches or the parking attendants' fault. IQ says, a damn shame I'm too young to have seen the glory years. And I feel bad for everyone here that only knows pain and misery. The glory years are, everything behind me is part of the glory years. And it's the only thing that keeps me somewhat sane. Brian, I'm sick of kidding myself that this team's anything more than a 500 team. Changes need to be made. All of us real fans know it. This is the softest and gutless team in the league. Don't hit or fight ever. Completely agree. Completely agree. Titus, it would be malpractice to let Fitz make any moves this year. The career-saving moonshots rarely work out. Well, it's malpractice for him to still be here. But I agree. I don't want him making any more moves. Bring in a new person to start to fix the mess. NJ Fanatic, let's discuss realistically what to do with the so-called core. I think at minimum one piece has to be traded. I mean, I just don't see how you add what you need to add without trading one of them. But I don't think it's happening either because Fitz loves them and everything's good, baby. It's going to turn itself around. David Chimes still insisting that it's Keefe. Benjamin, it's the unearthed caskets in Newark. You can't convince me otherwise. Some Quaker curse or whatever, ghosts in the machine. It could be. Nothing good's happened since we moved from the Meadowlands. I hate this team. Evan, hey, the Devils can't beat the Hurricanes. They own us, and we just sit there and watch them beat us. Yeah. Yeah. David said, you're just wrong when you say they get chances galore. Love your show, but it's just not true, even if it was tonight. Do you need to see a highlight reel? I mean, listen, David, you could be wrong about this. Do you really believe they're not getting good chances that they're not finishing on? They need to have more chances? I mean, maybe they could use more chances. And like I said, I'm not saying Keefe may not be part of the issue, but the biggest issue, the single biggest issue, is that these guys cannot score goals, period. Period. They cannot score. So I'm not saying that, again, in another system, may they be a little bit better? Maybe. But you people that are anti-Keefe in his system talk as if like they're so stifled and not getting chances. They're getting tons of chances. They cannot score. How do you not see this? Oh, God. Just as the Devils will go 4-0 on this Western road trip. That'd be exciting. I don't know how much I believe in that. Richie says Timo has just shy of 10% scoring average. You mean like shooting percentage? Coaches around the league would take that every time. Give me 4 more guys like him. Gary said Nemo will leave like Adam Larson. Well, listen, that was a great trade. We traded him for Taylor Hall. It was one of the greatest trades ever. The infamous tweet, 1-for-1. Ritter Engines, his team is done. Devil Dog Larson didn't leave. He was traded for Taylor Hall. Why do you keep saying that? Devils then said, I get wanting the physicality effect. I really, really do. But even with Timo, it feels like it's not there either. Correct. Imagine how worse it would be without Timo. We need more guys like Timo, not less. Madison DeVito, is it bad to still have hope for the season? I'm a new fan. Got into hockey last summer. This is my second season. I'm also an NY Mets fan, so I always have hope and suffer, I guess. No, you can always have hope, but you just have to realize realistically they need to play at a very, very high level for the rest of the season to have any chance of making the playoffs, and it's statistically not likely. But I'll always have hope too, but I just know what we're up against. Yeah, Edmonton gave up on Taylor Hall. SJ, sadly, there's no hope. They would have to win 3 out of every 4 games. Not happening. Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, not quite, but pretty close. Gary, I'm with you, Ace. I remember the glory years. There's always hope and always hope. But now I might actually watch an old Cup victory, and to me, that is so sad. Bonus move. Does anyone know what game it was that Markstrom spoke to the press afterwards, clearly upset and looked like he wanted to jump the guy, asking him about playing better? It wasn't that long ago. Brian, what happened to the heavier, edgier, more violent? Imagine we didn't bring in Dylan Cotter, Nason, and Kovacevic last year. Have all of them, and we still aren't physical. Yeah, we would be even softer. It's unfortunately nowhere near enough. And it's a huge problem amongst many others. But, you know, the evidence is there. If you've watched these games and have seen how this team has responded in a lot of situations, to not think that it's a real problem, I don't know what to tell you. Richie, Ace, the wife had knee replacement on Wednesday. Lots of pain. Asked me to get Milanos today. On the way back, I had about 9 of them. Had to go back and get more. Damn, they're good. Those are some delicious cookies. Titus Dream, low key, if I was in charge, the valets, training staff, bikini wax team all get fired from this team. Nuclear winter. Gary, we need to recreate the crash line. I would love to see it. We haven't seen anything like that in quite some time. And it is hard to do that when the league is full of pansies. Benjamin, they regularly miss an open net, please. Oh, is that in response to David? Gary, the Devils forwards do not go to the net. They are pansies. Vecna Fitzgerald Thomas, the GM of the year. Brian says the Devils will go 0-4 on this Western road trip. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. They might need more high-quality chances, but damn, they miss wide-open nets. They miss wide-open nets. They miss breakaways. They miss everything. Pucks are sitting in the crease they can't get to. NJ Viewer, not blaming Keefe's system. He can't get to the players playing hard. When they play hard like in Minnesota, this roster wins. What makes you think any coach, that's what I'm, we've seen all these coaches get fired over these guys. What makes you believe there's this magical fix that this magical coach is going to come in and get this group who's shown that they never could ever play consistently in the past several seasons, that this magical coach is going to get them to do that? I'm just so curious how you could believe that. Maybe Stifler's mom could help some of the Devils score more. Richie, Timo has 13 goals on 142 shots. Many of those shots are not high percentage, but he's putting shots on goal and in front. For those that think it's a shitty contract, it'll look great in another year plus. What a brutal night. Gary, we need to recreate a new crash line and the Elias, Arnott, and Sikora line. The A line? Yeah, you're talking about 2 of the biggest, most physically intimidating centers that had mean streaks in Bobby Holik and Arnott. We have no one like those guys whatsoever. Benjamin says Timo is no sledgehammer, but he's what we have. Imagine no Timo, who's going to throw a little weight around the Brittle brothers. David, I proved my case why Keefe was responsible. Go through the stats I gave when you have time. I went through the stats. Keefe is all shoot from outside. You can tell me whatever you want. I'm not buying it, David. I'm sorry. I'm just not buying it. This all is blah, 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 blah. Blame somebody other than the players. Do you think if the players have the option to bring it in and not shoot from the outside that they're going to do it? Like, I don't even believe they listen to Keefe most of the half the time. So again, I'm not saying that Keefe is completely blameless, but to put the primary emphasis of the blame on him is just silly. Silly. I'm not saying he's blameless. Maybe a new system could help them a little bit. It's not going to make them look dramatically better. That is just serious wishful thinking. David, can't compete Timo. Can't compare Timo to San Jose because he's right wing and power play one. How's that not on Keefe? One example. I think that could potentially come from above, but I don't think it's that. I think it matters. I don't think it matters that much. The power play thing is obnoxious. I don't know why. Sometimes he's out there on power play one, sometimes he's not. I think at this point, Keefe is just desperate to try a bunch of different things and hope something works. I mean, the entire team is underachieving. I will say, though, I think is a fair point. I could put that on Keefe. It is fair. Keefe should put him on right wing, but then he's going to have another issue somewhere else. It's just a complete mess. It's a complete mess. But I don't think putting Timo on right wing and power play one fixes all the problems of this team either. These are all just very nitpicky things. Jay Reardon, we need grit. Completely agree. Evan, we face Kevin Ball and Sharon Govich on Monday. One of them will definitely score on us, probably. B now, Marky should cross-check a beat reporter and they ask him if he can play better. Red Devil says Keefe and Fitz are both responsible. Fitz has a core of guys who live on the rush. They decided to bring in a coach and a bunch of bottom six players who play dump and chase. Whole organization is broke. Vecna Fitzgerald, whole front office needs to be shown the door. Fitz and his bozo staff. Yeah, it's painful, guys. We're in a painful time right now. Rendich Lindy's system is not doing bad in Buffalo. I would also say that he has some better player. I mean, maybe not top to bottom, but his high-end pieces could be better than ours. Titus, this team legit is a coach killer. They can't be consistent. It's impossible. That's kind of where I'm at, right? You could get into the weeds and point the finger and, blah, blah. In the end, there is no coach that is going to get this group of players as constructed to consistently perform. MK Sandy, if I'm trying to shed contracts, Timo is way down on the list. Completely agree with that as well. Vecna, wish we had a full team of goons. At least it'd be fun to watch. Also true. B-Now says, David, we miss wide open nets and breakaways. NJ Viewer, if they don't listen to Keefe, then it means he doesn't command respect. But that's but at some point, right, all of these things, you could say it about every coach they ever had. That is the point. This group, as is, will not consistently perform for anyone. So then what? The clear answer, the clear and obvious answer here is that you change the group. Period. Gary, too many no-trade clauses. Fitz needs to go. Jersey Roots, there's too many individuals on this roster. They have no synergy, chemistry. It has to be dissolved in order to change. Agree. Benjamin, there's a chemistry issue here. No way we could go through what the root causes. But one thing is clear. The guys don't really give a shit. That's heartbreaking, to be honest. Agree with that, too. Change up the personnel. Change up the personnel in some way. SJ, we need a core guy with size like Tage, not him per se, but it's what the Devils need. I've wanted some size for a long time. Size matters in this league, and people that are, in denial about that are the lost crowd. You need some big guys to win in this league. Our identity is the extreme opposite. Undersized finesse guys. Gary says Fitz hired Travis Green and then fired. Rendich, don't see how this core makes a deep run in the playoffs. Soft, both physically and mentally. Completely agree. And that's why there needs to be a little bit of a revamp. Red Devil, every game against Carolina is the same, a 3-1 or 4-1 loss. B-Now, I wanted Lenny call up to play, just to have someone different in the lineup. Yeah, I was kind of pissed that he didn't play. I was looking forward to that. I know a lot of you guys know I've been talking about him for a while. I thought he was going to play today. Maybe next game we see him. But just change something. Captain Mofungo, I love the stat nerds on X who think grit, snarl, and tenacity are not noteworthy metrics impacting this Gerber baby soft team. If you're losing the game at the very least, finish your checks. Completely agree. There's a large contingency of these folks, but it's like Watch the games. Like, watch the games. SJ, I think they wanted Lenny to practice. That's why he didn't play. He should play next game. I would like to see that. Trey White says blow the team up. Gary, the only time we've been consistent was with Lemaire and Larry Robinson, not Robertson, but yeah. David Chimes, we have no sniper, but he plays shoot from the outside. You'll come around. Uncle Pucker, see it. Austin sees it. Definitely some of it's on the players. You'll come around on Keith. I'm not like his biggest fan. I'm just saying the players are more of a problem than him. And like I said before, maybe he is part of the problem. But in the end, you could say whatever you want about his system. When these guys miss in tight chances, miss the net, miss breakaways, pucks sitting in creases that they don't get to, all of those things have nothing to do with the system. It is their inability to finish. So there could be some validity to what you're saying, but it's far from the number one reason. The number one reason is they cannot score. Now, all the things you're saying may be fine. Fine. But getting a new coach is not going to dramatically fix anything or change the reality of what this team is. Jersey Roots, no coach in the league can solve this tumor. The roster has to be broken up. Timo on right wing, just try it. Scoot says trade the brothers. It's definitely not going to happen. Benjamin says we need a radical earthquake shakeup needed. All right, guys, got to take a leak. I'm dying. Back in 1 minute. 2 minutes. Back in 2 minutes. Let me put the sad graphic up for those that missed it. Be right back. 2 minutes. That graphic is so sad. Cheers, guys. Another loser beverage I had to get. Surfside. The strawberry lemonade. Loser beverages once again. Super unfortunate. Let me get back here. SJ Buffalo has a better blend in their core. The Devils have too much of the same players. Yeah, redundancy. We talk about it. Too many of the same type of players. We need the gritty guys that can produce. We don't have it. Timo is the only one we have. Captain Mafungo, it's beyond frustrating how neutered this team is. Completely agree. Archer, need another game like the Rangers vs. Devils game 2 years ago. Puck drops and so does everyone's gloves. Fist flying, blood drawn, something to inspire the team. I think we're well past that at this point. Benjamin says, isn't it? Makes me want to give up. Again, I didn't follow for years. Don't give up, man. But I totally get it. Like, I am a super diehard, obviously, and I'm always going to watch and root for them. But, like, it is painful. Like, we're just getting every year, it's just a tease. Like, you get your hopes up, and they look good at times, and then it falls apart. It's just a mess. Gleason says, it's crazy watching a game where we don't lose because we're soft physically and then just come on here and it's all people saying we need bigger players. As if that fixes it. We're the smallest team. Bro, these are people's frustrations over the course of an entire season. Gleason, do you believe that we're not soft physically and that's not a part of the reason why we suck? Do you honestly believe that? Brian, they wanted Lenny to get a practice in as if that matters, or he couldn't possibly play as our team is free-falling. Gleason, we're not the smallest team in the league. We're not the softest. I think we are probably the softest. We just can't score goals. If we were winning, no one would talk about being tougher. But it all goes hand in hand. The mentality, the ability to play in warfare type of games, how you respond to adversity, how you respond after giving up some bad goals. It all goes hand in hand. I agree that the biggest problem is we can't score goals, but the physicality and toughness and mental toughness is all certainly part of it. They're very tied together. Between the ears soft, yeah. Matt, drop this entire team off at the Diamond Gym and let Unk rip them into shreds. Metalander, even Danico dropped the false positivity in the broadcast tonight and called him out for a destructive east-west defensive approach. Richie, I think Keefe said Lenny drove from Utica and arrived last minute, so he practiced, but said you will see him on the road games. Okay. Gary, too many people protect our core like they are gods. That's the thing, right? Like, I love these guys too, but that's not going to prevent me from being realistic about what's happening. Like, they're just not getting it done. But there's some people that's like, once you start any sort of criticism, justified or not, and we're certainly in justified times right now, these people act like you're a bad fan for saying that. And it's like, no, we choose to be realistic. We don't want to be blindly, believing in a group that has showed us what they are. David says, here's another problem with Keefe. You brought this to our attention. We were great playing heavier, edgier, and more violent first half of last season. Completely agree with that. Found a winning strategy, but he put a stop. Now, I like where you're going with this, but do you think that's a Keefe thing? Do you think that could have came from above? Could it be the players just really don't enjoy doing that, and we just saw kind of a small sample size where they did it more times than not, and then they got away from it? I don't know. But we're going back to the next snack because I'm depressed, so I'm just going to work on being as unhealthy as possible. And someone said Sour Patch watermelon. So you know what? I'm like, let me go get a bag. Let me go get a bag because I have nothing else positive going on right now. And talking about this team breaks my heart even more than watching the game we just did. Brian says, David, is it Keith's fault that they don't hit or protect each other or don't finish on the chances they have? Suggest the coach that will get them to do that. One of the players accountable. I'd like to know. M. Cansani, not only can they not score, the team can't get out of their D zone. Gleason, Bryce is absolutely unwashable with the fake positivity that he thought they were going to come back or whatever after the team a lucky goal. Yeah. Sometimes his optimism pisses me off too. He was really honest one pregame a few games ago, but then he kind of went away from that. SJ, it was epic when we had Scotty's team was behind the bench. Too bad the team was bad. Yeah, and I think that soured him on the whole thing. I think we wasted Scott Stevens with some bad teams. I would love to see him back in the organization. Devils Den says never give up. David says, I'll put it this way. If Ruff was on the bench, we'd be all over the playoff line and arguing how much injuries versus Fitz and Markey are the reasons we're not at the top. I can't buy it. I can't, because the Jack injury and Jack still not being 100% is a huge part of it too. And that's also sad, as we've talked about. To be so reliant on one guy who's been injury prone his entire career is also a recipe for disaster. Cisco Kid, I have a feeling the Devils Rangers matchup will be for tri-state bragging rights, not playoff standings. Probably. They'll both probably be near the basement by then. So a long ways away. Holtz just scored for the Knights. Wow. How many games has he played this year? I know you didn't go. He had a goal and 2 assists in 16 games before tonight. Vecna Fitzgerald, I'm still shook that Hamilton's on this team after the mess with the agent. Yeah, he'll probably end on the year. Here. Need the call-ins soon. They'd be brutal after a night like tonight. Benjamin, for me, I felt something watching this team back in the 90s. It's hard to quantify, but the guys wanted to succeed as much as I wanted them to. I watch now, and I just don't feel that. Yeah, because they're nowhere near the same type of players or organization at all. Those are the good old days, man. Just be happy you were there for them. These guys do not care, and it shows. You know, they'll say the right things here and there and whatever else, and they'll win some games and kind of give you some false hopes, but overall, it is what it is. David, Buffalo becoming great after GM gone is an example of how a GM could mess up on ice morale and play. I agree with that. I think this team would get some sort of boost if Fitz was cooked, but our Berg brother, Devils top 6 is cooked. We have seen no growth. We've seen regression. CNJ Dev says we're fans, not stands. I like that. Yeah, the stands are like, how dare you talk about these guys? And it's like, are you watching the games? Maybe they're not watching the games or looking at the stats, much like Fitz is not looking at the standings. Maybe that's what the stands are doing. Timo is a bust of a trade. I can't agree with that. I mean, what did we really trade of substance? Like, are you that heartbroken over Zetterlund? I did want us to get him back when he got dealt last year. But it'd be nice to still have Zetterlund, but I mean, he's not really moving the needle on this team. Gary says, I just got an Elias jersey at Christmas and afraid to wear it in public because how we're playing like shit. Oh, you could always wear a classic. That's a classic. What the current team doing is irrelevant. Patty Elias has 2 Stanley Cup rings and should be a Hall of Famer. SJ, I think the Devils always start strong, but other teams adjust by letting the Devils make mistakes. Just hit NJ and they will wither under the pressure. Brutal. David, in an ideal world, Fitz goes first. Keefe gets trial period. Players go last. That's my opinion. Not trying to risk you up. Yeah. But Fitz is not going to go. So you think Fitz should be allowed to fire this guy and scapegoat another coach for a group of proven underachievers? Time and time again have proven. Like I said, could Keefe be part of the problem? Absolutely. Could be, right? But for your answer to be the GM that you believe is the biggest problem, to then go out and with the same breath say, Fitz is the biggest problem, but he's not going anywhere. So let him scapegoat another coach for this group of underachieving players, I think is insane. It's insane. Amagi says only bright spot of the game besides Covey absolutely dumping Svechnikov was Rachel Herzog noticed me pointing at her, so she smiled and pointed back. What a bummer of a performance. 5 versus 5 scoring is gone. Benjamin, you can hear the agony in Ken's voice. The last few games, it's hard to hear. He's probably dying inside watching this. Absolutely dying. R. Verg says, Keefe has not improved one player since being here. No one has gotten any better. Yeah, but could that not be on the players? Like, I don't know. I just think a lot of people want to blame anyone else other than the players. Like, at some point, you have to realize tons of coaches have come through And none of them have gotten these guys to perform consistently outside of the 22-23 season. M. Cansani says the whole healthy scratch of Hamilton was smoke and mirrors to make us think players were being held accountable. It's very odd to me. When it first happened, I thought at that point when they announced it that we had seen the last game, or the last New Jersey Devils game, I should say, for Dougie. The last game for Dougie as a Devil. I thought he was going to be, maybe scratch another game or two, and then we'd get the trade. But it doesn't seem like they're any closer to trading him despite all the smoke surrounding it. And like I just said multiple times during this show here, I could see him finishing the season here. And there is no world, and that would be another mismanaged situation amongst many, but there realistically is no world where Dougie and Nemo are both here next year, because let's just say even if Nemo signs for $7 million, you're talking about coming into next year with Luke making 9, Dougie making 9, that's 18, and let's just call Nemo for this exercise 7. That's $25 million in your top 3, and then you go. The rest of them are making what, around 4 average. You're talking about a blue line that would be probably the most expensive in the league. And it doesn't make sense. And Pesci's not going anywhere. So yeah, they all can't be here forever. And so again, the most sensible, and I'm a Dougie guy, the most sensible thing seems to be to ship Dougie. But maybe Fitz doesn't want to pay the price to move him, whether it's retention or picks or whatever it is. Maybe he's just refusing to do it. It'd be unfortunate to see Nemo moved out in some nonsense deal. Jersey Roots, the guys in the 90s love playing for each other. This team can't stand one another. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but they just don't have the heart that those old school teams had. Titus Dream, Hamilton is due $7+ million in a signing bonus. After that, he's $3 million roughly in cash for 2 years. When that happens, he is tradable for assets. Otherwise, we get fleeced for a cap dump. So you think they're going to do it after they pay him the bonus? Gleason says this team likes each other. Everyone says it. Dylan and company say it. They are all boys. They simply are not good at hockey regardless. Archer says nothing is going to stop me from wearing my Markstrom jersey once it arrives. Very nice. Benjamin, $6 million a year is $500K a month. Think on that for a minute. What is there to think about? It's a shitload of money, more than most people will make in their lives, obviously. Justin says he wants a Markstrom jersey. B-Now says Elias is a jersey you could always wear with pride. Completely agree. Winners never go out of style, which is why I'll never wear a jersey of a non-winner. I've told you guys all about that. If Keefe goes, the GM has to go. Yeah, I would have no problem if everyone went at once. Totally different than Fitz being able to fire Keefe and still have his job. SJ says, wish we had an Elias. I think we all do. Gary, true Elias jersey with pride, but this team does not have any pride or backbone. Completely true. Completely true. Mario, Alex, we went from we're the Devils to Titus Dream. We had a walking hospital last year, and Keefe got them into the dance. Yeah. Jack, let's pretend you get to add 3 forwards, 2 D. Oh my God, 2 D-men and a goaltender to the team. Cap irrelevant. Add players who you think would give this current Devils team and core the best chance to win the cup based on that. Are you talking about players in the league right now? Wait, I need to understand. Jack. So any players in the entire league? That's your question, Jack? Any 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and a goalie to a team? Come on, man. This is a ridiculous question. This is so absurd. If you should be able, with this exercise, Jack, you should be able to do this to any team in the league and win a cup, because you're talking about 6 huge pieces. Currently playing, oh my God, 3 forwards, 2 D-men, and a goaltender? Jesus. Give me a second. I mean, this is absurd. Three forwards, 2 D-men, and a goaltender? For the forwards, I'm going to go Connor McDavid, Nate McKinnon, and Brady Tkachuk. So I'm going Connor, Nate, Dog, Brady. The 2 D-men, I'm going... The 2 D-men, I'm going Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. And the goaltender... Who do I want to go in net? Let me think about this. Is this for like one season only, or is this like you have them going forward? I'd still probably go Vasilevsky. Yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah. Up front, Connor McDavid. This is such a ridiculous game. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Brady Tkachuk. My 2 defensemen are Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar. Goaltender, Vasilevsky. I mean, if you take those guys and put them on any team in the league today, they should probably be a cup favorite. M. Cansandy, I think the big difference with the 22-23 season was we had a lot of players out to prove their worth. Now they're too comfortable with coasting. That could be a part of it as well. B now says Brady and Olivier. I love Olivier, but if I could pick anyone, I just can't put him on that list. Justin Smith says Schmidt has more wins than Allen and Markstrom. Franchise legend, Akira Schmidt. Bran McCracken. Firefitz, bench Luke. Trade Palat, trade Dougie, trade Markstrom. I agree with most of this. I don't know about benching Luke. I just, maybe scratch him a game. I'm not opposed to it. But Firefitz is a must. Trading Palat would be great. And Dougie, that frees up a lot of space. Markey, they're not going to do that to him. He literally just signed it. It's not going to happen. Salvatore, how close do you think Nemo is to asking out? Dude's getting jerked around, being told he was the team's best D-man by Fitz, and Keith promising he'll be back, then get scratched. Well, he did come back for the game that Keith told him, and then he brought him right back out. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but I could see him being furious. Bro, what is people are writing sick stuff in here? What the? Someone has to get blocked. Ew. Some really gross things were just put in the chat. David, Fitz said he and Keith are in lockstep, but not lockstep enough for Keith to attend the presser. Small chance someone vetoed Fitz scapegoating him and that presser was originally called to relieve him. I don't think so. I don't know. Did you say that or someone else said it before? But I do think there's a chance that they both knew maybe from either before the season or at some point during the season that they both were safe for the entire season and they would look at it after the fact. I do think that there's a chance of that. Justin Smith, watching this team play is like being married. You just suffer every day. Madison. On the bright side, my Devils jersey has no name on the back, so it is evergreen. Yeah, that's never a bad play. Blank jerseys can never go out of style, right? My dog for GM, this organization is completely dysfunctional from the owners on down. Fitz will trade Nemo next year. It's inevitable. If he's going to trade him, I think it'd be now. Paying Luke the $63 million was the beginning of the end for Nemo. It could have been. It could have been. And I'm still holding out hope that ages well. But there's a chance that it doesn't. That would be really unfortunate. B now, they're all good players, really. They all just have a team full of Dawson Mercers. Jersey Roots, marriage is a death sentence. Don't do it. Devil Dog, Grubauer rocked Hamilton the other night. No one gave a shit. Yeah, that was kind of strange. Grubauer takes that cheap shot. No one did anything. Like, you got to do something there. I just hate to see stuff like that. Like, don't be the pushovers that everyone believes you to be. But they prove time and time again that they are that team. Like, that's got to be the scouting report on the Devils by every team in the league is like, just beat on them a little bit and they're going to crumble because they're not cut out for that. Salvatore, love wearing my 03 Friesen jersey to games in San Jose. Devils and Sharks fans alike both love it, and most importantly, he's a dog and a winner. Friesen, definitely a dog. Love me some Jeff Friesen. Jack, honest thoughts on Don LaGreca. I like Don. I'm always going to be biased to people that know some team history, can reference it, we're real fans, have an emotional investment, and you get that with Don. Now, I understand some people want to kill him for mispronouncing names and other stuff, but like, honestly, I don't care that much about that. I understand some people do, but I rather have a guy that seems invested into the team like I am than like the most professional guy who's not. But people are going to have different opinions on that. I'll always take maybe a less polished guy who really wants the team to win. And like I said, does know team history and can reference it and kind of go back and forth with some of the other guys about that stuff. Like, I'll always value that over pronouncing names properly. That's for me. Gary, we need a Jamie Langenbrunner trade. Completely agree. Completely agree. Something that's going to shake this team up. David Chimes, you don't call a presser without the coach midseason. Normally, Keefe was always at the postseason wrap-ups. Yeah, but that's very different than what this was. And this wasn't even a technical press conference. They called it a Q&A, and they were like sitting at a table. I don't take anything from the fact that Keefe wasn't there. We miss Akira Schmid. Salvatore says Nate Dogg, McDavid, Celebrini, Quinn, Kale, and Akira Schmid and net. Your list is very similar to mine. I went with Brady over Celebrini, but I mean, I'm trying to bring in some of the physicality, but in the end, like that lineup would be wild as well. SJ, the problem is our small players are soft as well. None of them are fearless like Parise was. Pound for pound, Zach was one of the toughest Devils. Would get in the crease, crash the net, go in the corners, battle for pucks, battle on the wall. He was a feisty dude. Ultimate pro. Loved Zach Parise. One of my favorite players at the time. Justin says Schmidt stops the puck, something the Devils goalies can't do. Brian, if you could get 3 jerseys for free and had to pick 3 current Devils, who would you pick? Man, I do like some of these nonsense questions. If I could get 3 jerseys for free and had to pick 3 current Devils, who would I pick? Oof. Hold on. I'm going to think about that while I go get some more candy. Hold on. I'm really working on my diabetes here. Hold on 1 second. At this point, I just went for the industrial bags. We got the Sour Patch mixes here, and this is the industrial Starburst. This is so bad. This is so bad. Are you talking about jerseys that I have to wear, Brian? Just clarify. I have to wear these? You're talking about jerseys to wear? Because that makes a difference as well. Just confirm that. Jerseys to wear. 3 guys on the current team. I'm going to go Dilly. Timo. Dilly, Timo, and I need a third one. It's a hard one. Either Kovacevic or Cody Glass. Titus, we need a center as Jack's unreliable as a number 1A, 1B. Always injured and keeps sinking the roster. We need a center bad, so we don't need a Glass Mercer to be the guys. I agree, and I want a big North American. Been talking about it with a lot of the old school heads here for a while. Go get me whatever the closest thing you could find to Jason Arnott. Go find us the closest thing you could get. Guy says I want to get a Langenbrunner jersey. That'd be a good one. Benjamin, I wanted pushing 40 Marchand, and everyone dogged me for it. Look how that worked out. There's video of me saying that as well. Well documented. I was like, if there's any way to pull it off, they should try. Exactly the type of guy we needed. He would have never came here anyway. I also said I wanted Taylor Hall. Got flamed for that too. Archer, do you think that Allen should have played today and that Markey should have started against Calgary? Because until today, I thought that was the play. And yet it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. We weren't winning today no matter who was in that. Michael Gold every game we missed a lot of scoring opportunities. Completely agree. B now, would that fantasy team win here with Fitz? Somehow, no. I think it would win with anyone. Dave said I go with Vassy too, dude. His playoff money. Yeah, I gotta go Vassy. Man, I like some of these random ass questions you guys are asking. These are some interesting random ones. Here's another one from Jack. Wait. If you had a one-on-one with Fitz, what 3 questions are you asking? Oh, man. I would ask something like, despite the overwhelming evidence we have over the past few seasons, what makes you believe that this core could win without some major additions? That'd be one. Probably something about the defense and the long-term outlook of the defense in reference to, you know, Nemo, Dougie, all that. Third one. I guess something about why he doesn't make moves in the middle of the season. Justin says marriage is the 3 rings: the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. I like that. Jersey roots, the Gianta brothers were small and played like giants. Love them too. Steven and Brian Gianta. Also pound for pound tough guys for sure. Madison says, everyone talk about the glory days, but I fear I wasn't born the last time they won a Stanley Cup. It's unfortunate. I feel bad for the young folks that all you know is pain and suffering. I think Akira got fed up with the organization because I do believe his kind of development was botched here. They kind of yo-yoed him up and down in Utica, and he probably hated the team. Get me out of here. I don't blame him, really. I mean, I've said before, he's the only goalie not named Marty Brodeur in the past 32 years to win a playoff series for this team. I'm hurting your pancreas. But says, I don't think I know 3 current players deserve a jersey in my closet. That's kind of where I'm at. David, would you like your boss having a Q&A roundtable about what you manage without you? I could be wrong. Would sound like a power move by Boo's face. I don't think so. I could see why you think that, but I don't think so. Keefe was out there in front of the media after every game. What was he going to add to it? Fitz finally came out of hiding and did his part. Keefe's been in front of cameras after every single game. NJDev goes Jack Hughes, nicohischier, Jake Allen. Now Nico's probably the only jersey I would want. That's said. We got Pesci, Grits, and Allen. That's a solid trio. Madison says I would 1,000% wear a Brendan Dillon jersey. Brian, that's why it's tough. Eventually, people going to get moved. Devils Den says Allen, Bratt, Nemitz. Already have Nico. I like those 3. World's Worst Gamer says Bratt, Nico, and waiting on a third. Archer. Brian, does that have to be 3 players, or can I choose Markstrom in the 3 jersey variations? Oh, we're back to the other question. Snow Devil says McKinnon, McDavid, Pasta, Quinn and McCarr, Celebrate. Yeah, so your list is similar to mine, too. You got Pasta over Brady. Nico's only jersey I'd want Glass over Nico. Brian said I picked Timo, Kovacevic, and Colton White. Oh, my God. I don't play video games anymore. I'm retired. Holy's a classic jersey. Jubilee, I wouldn't want a jersey from anyone on this team at the moment. None who inspires me. I'd like a Hall or Kovalchuk jersey, though. Those are the players I liked in Devils. 2 of the more controversial ones. Both very good players. Cody Glass and Colton White are the only guys overperforming expectations this season. And White got waived. Crazy. Or put on waivers and cleared. Guys that have a Niedermeyer and Elias to wear. Legends never go out of style. Gleason Hall's my last jersey. At least he represents a fun time because we had nothing before Halsey. It's true. What a season. That season was a special Hart Trophy. Jersey Roots, my Chris Terry jersey is a prized possession of mine. That's a nice throwback. Devil Dog says Marchand would have inexplicably been neutered and wasted here like Dylan. I feel bad for Dilly. I do wonder if, he has young kids. So that's the thing. He wants to win a cup, but he also has young kids, and, his family's settled here. So I don't know if he would want to uproot them to cup chase. If he did, I would not fault him whatsoever. And it's a tough situation. I would love to see Dilly. I would hate to lose him. I love Dilly. But it kills me to watch a guy like that gives it his all, that I know wants to win so desperately, for his career to end on these sorry Devils teams is just pathetic. I would love to see him go play on a contender and win a cup. C-Bones, I feel there's no culture or swag since Fitz. Culture starts in the top down and it's rotten. Completely agree. It's part of an organization losing its way. Starts at the very top. 1,000%. Richard, okay, there's no cap trouble, and Lou comes in under this hard record. He's moving one guy to shake up. Who is it? If Lou was in charge? Probably Brat. Gary said, we're Pesci, Nico, and Allen. Dre White, hard to tell what will kill you faster, the Candy or the Devils. Probably the Devils. Archer, I don't know if you share your age, but who won the cup in the year you were born? No NHL team won it the year I was born. I'm 40. The Oilers won it the year I was born during their dynasty years. Christoph Oliwa, amazing. Benjamin, you mean the 1995 finals? 1995, not 1994. They should sit Markstrom, bring Nico Dawes maybe. I can't see that happening either. Nico Dawes, another bizarre situation, how that's being handled. Like, he's just going to be in Utica all year. And then going to sign with somebody else in the offseason. Here's another guy I feel bad for. Yeah, I mean, our record with goalies lately, mainly Schmid, but now I think you're going to be able to add him to the list. Nico Dawes, another guy that's going to go on to do something elsewhere. Yeah, I need to stop eating all this candy. I kind of went crazy today. Excessive. Gary, here's my one ask to him. Why did he give so many no trade clauses and stupid contracts? He's going to give a nonsense answer to that. And he was kind of asked about it during the Q&A. Wow. I just hit a nice mixture of Sour Patch Kids. It was a perfect mixture. Wow. Phenomenal. I have a Grits jersey. Very nice. You pick Glass over Nico. That surprised me. Just because I feel like he's really elevated his game and there's not going to be a ton of Glass jerseys. Blomberg from the Flames and Krause from... I like guys like that. But if we're playing a ridiculous game where you can pick anyone, I'm going to pick elite guys. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, I pull out NHL hits on PS2. It's a 5-on-5 game. I pick the Scott line, Niedermeyer, Gomez, Stevens. Nice. David, who leaves on the right side of the D first? Nemo or Dougie? Oh. It's so hard. I'm still going to go Dougie. But at this point, I feel like this is almost 50-50. Red Devil, only new Devils jerseys I have are Jack and Gritsuk. All my old jerseys are Marty. Great jerseys. Richie, my prediction on Lou and who he moves, Jack Hughes. So, back to that question. I was going to say, if ownership wasn't an issue, it would be Jack for sure. But I was under, in this fantasy game, still keeping real life parameters kind of in check. But if Lou had full autonomy with no interference from ownership, it would be Jack for sure. If Lou's in charge, half the team is gone. Mm-hmm. Schmid playing lights out again for Vegas. Red Devil, I'd kill get old school Kovalchuk and Yager jerseys. What a time. Wartime, Yager as a devil. Billy G. I don't know. Devils are a year late. Should have gone after Darsh last year. Fitz was going nowhere. Brandon, I hate how it's January and I'm looking at who's going in the first round in June. Pathetic, right? Unreal. Red Devil, if Prime Lou is in charge, half the team gets the boot and he finds a way to bring in Brady, Kachuk, and Tom Wilson. Old school Lou savagery. I couldn't imagine having either one of them. Never mind both. Both of those guys on the team simultaneously would be a dream. An absolute dream. World's worst gamer for the record. How many here wanted Holtz traded? Oh, by the time he was traded, I did. I knew it was going to be a bust. It was too late, though. Obviously, his value was nothing. We traded him and Akira Schmid to get Cotter. Zach, this season has sucked for netminders. Bobrovsky got 9 spotted last night against the Canes. Guys won consecutive cups, and all the reactionary Florida fans are calling for his head. Low IQ fan bases everywhere. Yeah, it's rough. But, like, if you're a Panthers fan, again, yeah, the guy brought you 2 cups back-to-back. We can't even get a playoff berth. Never mind, back-to-back cups. Richard, I should have prefaced that Lou's got full control. In fact, Luke with Jack, I believe, wouldn't stand for the attention they get. No, he certainly wouldn't. They're like the exact opposite of Lou players. I don't know how fantasy hockey has 605. I'm assuming that is good. Devil Dog, Lou never got high-end sought-out players in their prime like a Brady Kachuk. None of the players he ever traded for on that level. Jason Arnott. No, but I would say Covey. Covey was in his prime. And I would say Mogilny was close-ish. You know, like some of the other bigger names were clearly older, like Gilmore and Anderchuk were older, but yeah, I guess Mogilny was probably just past. Kovalchuk, though, was definitely like prime. Or not, Devil Dog. Kovalchuk was always rumored to be Vanderbeek, telling Lou to trade for him. I mean, that was one of the greatest trades ever. I remember the day we got him. I was like, I couldn't believe it. He was one of my favorite non-Devils in the league at the time. I loved him and Heatley on the Thrashers. Yeah, Mogilny. Rebs, what's your take on what Lindy is doing in Buffalo? I mean, good for Lindy. I never thought he was a bad coach. I liked him here. I defended him for a while. A lot of people wanted him fired way before he did get fired. I didn't. And I felt like at the end, like that it just had to happen. That like it's run its course, you know, blah, blah, blah. And maybe to some people's point, maybe, you know, the players were more to blame, but at the time I was okay with it. I thought like, yeah, he did what he could for this group. And now they needed someone else to bring them to the next level. But good for him. He's got some good pieces there. And he's got his team believing. It's crazy. Currently holding down that second spot in the wild card. They've played a game less than the Devils and have 7 more points. Devils only 5 points out of third in the Metro, but 1 game more than the Pens. What a mess. Yeah, so 7 points out of the second wild card spot, 5 points out of third in the Metro. Terrible. Kovalchuk was ruined by the lockout. Never came back to New Jersey and enjoy the Gagarin Cups. Interesting choice, right? Gilmore was old. Brandon, I love Mogilny. Elias Gomez. Mogilny is one of my favorite all-time lines. Red Devil Lou built his teams from the net out, not the other way around. Fitz goes for skinny finesse players, then tries to find goalies to patch the leaks. The sad part is, though, that's like the league. The league has... All right, this is the last one because I'm going to just pass out and die from sugar inhalation. The league has sort of de-emphasized the goaltender position with the tandem thing. Like, you know, most guys aren't playing what the workhorses were back in the day. Obviously, there's a few guys who are going to play a ton, but most teams are going with these tandems. And a lot of teams believe, like, probably because of the detailed analytics, that you could have these average-ish goalies and win cups. I would much rather have a beast. Vecna. Miss Covey Everdale, I'll never forget the pic of him in Championship Plaza after inking the mega deal. I know exactly which one you're talking about. Talking about this. What a time. What a time. Yep. That's the face of a man that signed a massive, massive deal. Terrible. What a way it ended. Super unfortunate. Zach, how would you feel about getting rid of the overtime loss point and going to a 2-0-1 system where you get a point if you lose the shootout? Devils are fourth in the division in wins right now and have fewest overtime losses. I think I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm just trying to think what makes more sense. I don't personally like to look at like how that would benefit the Devils at this current season and then kind of retro fit a kind of solution around that. But that kind of makes sense. I do think some people have put out the 3 points for a regulation win. I think there's a lot of kind of plans for something like that. I think that makes sense that I've seen people lay out. Jersey Roots says Lindy also has way more talent than we do. I don't know about on paper, but he's got a better group than what they've been for the past several years. Richard, imagine Kovalchuk and Timo on the same line. Covey would make Timo look small. Thanks for the show, Ace. Take care, David. He went to the KHL. MJS, I wonder what the Maven would say. What's with all the candy? I'm depressed, and candy's good. Stress eating, yeah. Red Devil, the league is all skill players because of analytics. I hate it. Give me Tom Wilson or Kachuk any day. I'm right there with you. Breaks my heart. And then he built that huge mansion in Alpine and ended up selling it. I think it was listed for like $25 million. The Kobe deal did screw us. Then we had that penalty, which was nonsense. Yeah, the league just hates the Devils. Really does. The 5-star, thank you for the super. Marty used to play 70-plus games. That's unreal. Yeah, I think he started 78 one year. He's probably had 76, 75. Tons of 60-plus. Let's just do it real quick. not only the best of all time, but one of the most durable of all time. I mean, just this little stretch right here. Ba, ba, ba. So the second column is games started. So 95, 96, he started 75 games. 96, 97, he started 64. Next year, 69, 70, 72, 72, 73, 73, 75, 73, 78, 77, 76. This will never happen again. The current analytics people would tell you this would kill a man. They would say these amount of starts to a goaltender would put them in the grave. He started over 70, let's use 72 games. So how many times did he start 72 plus? Meaning rested 10 out of a full season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times he started over 72 games. And if we just make it a flat 70, it'd be 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, completely insane. We will never see this ever again. Ever again. Truly phenomenal stuff. An absolute legend. What's going on, Tim? 2026 Stanley Cup final matchup, Canes versus Avs. I could see it. World Worst Game of the Player I mentioned earlier, you didn't comment on Luke Evangelista is related to Shanahan. I really think the Devils should try to get him. Uh-oh. I hit the mic. Is my microphone on? Can you hear me? I think I rocked it. Hello, hello? I think it recovered. What's his cap hit? I don't think Nashville's going to move anybody. Like, Nashville's in a decent spot. Richie, Ace, thanks for therapy. Have a strawberry starburst for me. Good night. Kobe ran with the money, never looked back, then got traded to the Kings. Be now, very true. Unless you win a cup, you didn't win anything. That's the old school rules. It's true. You've won nothing. Now, there's some guys that will get close to 60 or 60, but it's few and far between. Like, let's just see from last year. So last year, there was 5 guys that started. Well, I'll just pull them all up, actually. Damn it. So this is last year's. Numbers. But Vasilevsky led everybody with 63. Hellebuck had 62. Shesterkin had 61. Sorokin 60. Sam Montembeault 60. So you're talking about 5 guys with 60 plus And and no surprise that they're the dogs, right? Like the best in the game. Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, Shesterkin, Sorokin. And then Sam Montembeau. Then you go down, UC Saros, 58, Gustafson, 58, Jake Ottinger, 58, Swayman, 58, Vomeka, 55, Joey Decord, 55. So you go down the list, and it's like you see basically a lot of guys around 50, mid-50s, which is like, 55 is like 2/3 of the game. So you go 50 to 55. That's a good chunk of the guys. And then you have the guys that are closer to 60 and above. Devils probably in an ideal world thought it was going to be I mean, yeah, if the Devils had their way, they would probably want it so close to even. They would have probably said like 44 Markstrom starts and 38 for Allen. I'd imagine that was probably their like ideal split. I hate the analytics team. I think we all do. As far as being related, I don't know what that was in reference to. Jersey Roots, like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. I got to wrap this up. This team's killing me. I would take Shanny as our GM. I've already said plenty of times, Marty would be my first choice if Fitz was to be gone, but Shanny would be on my short list. Evangelista is cheap and young, but I'm saying we should make them an offer they can't refuse. I don't know. I mean, what motivation do they have to trade him? I certainly would take him. Let me see what his contract is. Oh man, $3 million. Red Devil, people would remember Ovi if you didn't have a cup because he had over 900 goals. Nobody cares how many assists you have if you don't have a cup. Sort of true. There'll never be another Movi for sure. There'll never be another Ovi. Benjamin, Night Peeps, see you on the green in May. Oh, man. Thanks for showing this. Yeah, no problem. No problem. World's Worst Gamer. Love Darcy Kemper. I'd wanted him here, but the Devils didn't listen to me. I just wish we had Hellebuck like that. When those rumors came up a couple years ago, I really wanted him. 5-star, disagree. Kobe had a lot more lethal shot than Ovi. Kobe was explosive. Explosive. World's Worst Gamer said, rather my mom be our GM than Shanny. Fitz really smart, extending Markey for 2 more years. Certainly bizarre timing. Vecna, Fitzgerald, crazy how Fitz had 3 different titles in the organization. It is. It certainly is. Bulletproof. He seems that way. I mean, certainly seems that way. All right, guys, I'm putting this away, and then I'm going to shut her down. Final thoughts, questions, comments, whatever you got, throw it out there. I'm going to start winding this thing down. What a painful night. What a painful night. And there are the updated standings. I'll be right back. Pissed off. What a night. Crazy Coasty. I love Marty's a GM, but hate to see bad owners put a stain on his reputation. If that ended up being the case, I would just know the reality and not really hold it against them. And who knows, maybe he would have no interest. In the past, it seemed like he didn't. See NJDev watch Markstrom go somewhere else and win a cup as a backup like Vanacek did. I could see that happening. World's Worst Gamer, 2 hours, almost 1 a.m. Go Devils. Take care, guys. Take care. Snow Devil. Devils want Marky to start most of these games because that was the plan when he came over. That was Fitz's reasoning for extending him despite playing terribly. That was the plan when he came over. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like, great. I understand that was your plan, but it's not working. Like, it's time to tweak or change the plan, right? Yeah. To make a plan based on whatever and then continually stay with it when it is not a winning plan is a problem. Completely a problem. But we're talking about a guy that doesn't even look at the standings. I mean, you're expecting way too much. We all are. It's unfortunate. World's worst game or painful night? Nah. At least special teams showed up and won. Also, we were in the game for a good portion of it. Oh, man. I can never allow myself to take these moral victories out of a game like this. This was a huge statement, potential game. And they just did what they do best. Zach, I hate when we can't even laugh at the Rangers being at the bottom since we're right there with them. That's where I'm at. That is it, guys. I'm dead. Appreciate everybody for coming out. Daddy remains daddy. The Hurricanes beat the Devils by a score of 4-1. The 3-game winning streak was not meant to be. Going out on the west coast of Canada. And we will see what this team does. But, man, heartbreaking loss. Despite me not having any expectations for the team for a while, it's still heartbreaking because it would have been a big statement. And who knows, it could have been, right? You want to say, oh, the turnaround games. It felt like if they had won, maybe it could have served as that. But it didn't happen. And now we're free falling down the standings. Painful time to be a Devils fan, but I will be back soon, guys. You know I will be back soon. Late. It's going to be, oh, man, it's going to be late nights. It's going to be very late nights. Some of these games, what do we got? 9s and 10s, I think. Yeah, a 9 and 2 10s. And it starts Monday night. Oh, boy. We got a 9 and 2 10s. Get the coffee on. And obviously it takes 2 to tango, Vecna. But be back soon. Wow. Painful night, guys. Nothing else I can say. But appreciate you all. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils. And Gary, I would love to move back to the Meadowlands.